Chapter 15:12. At this moment, everyone on the third floor was stunned. They didn't expect there to be so many people here. But soon after, anger appeared on their faces. This was because they'd noticed that many of them were only one-star kings. They couldn't even reach the second floor, so how could they enter the third floor? Damn it, how is that guy guarding the door? Why did he let in so much trash? Fuck, who are you calling trash? Fatty Luo and the dark red dragon both jumped up. Of course I'm talking about you guys. You dare to enter the third floor with such strength? Although I don't know how you guys got in, please get out now. Otherwise don't blame me for being impolite. A young man in a blue robe stood up. He was quite handsome, but his eyes were very cold, making people feel uncomfortable. Middle stage 2-star kings, you dare to talk big in front of me with such strength? Fatty Luo snorted disdainfully. Come. I'll teach you how to behave. The dark red dragon gnashed his teeth. He was the same as Lin Xian. His strength couldn't be judged by his cultivation. Lin Xian glanced at the people in front of him and then revealed a trace of surprise. He found that these people were all very powerful. The weakest among them was a mid-stage 2-star king, and there were a few late-stage 2-star kings. There were even one or two whose cultivation he couldn't see clearly. Presumably they were even more powerful. However, so what if their cultivation was powerful? He wasn't someone who was afraid of trouble. Since these people dared to provoke him, he naturally had to fight back. How did you get in? Of course by fighting. Don't you know the rules here? Lin Xian looked around, not backing down at all. Before coming to the true spirit world, he had already understood that this was a world where the strong preyed on the weak. Moreover, he had personally experienced it these few days. So, in this place he had to be strong and couldn't show weakness. Because the weak were bullied and looked down upon. Only the strong could make people respect and fear them. So, Lin Xian's attitude had been very decisive after coming to the true spirit world. Do you think they can pass? The blue-robed man snorted disdainfully. You'll know whether they can or not when you try. Lin Xian took a step forward, and a fierce aura appeared on his body. So strong. The people on the other side were shocked. They didn't think that Lin Xian could release such a terrifying aura. Although he was only a 1-star king, his strength had most likely surpassed the 1-star king realm and reached the 2-star king realm. Not bad indeed. No wonder you can come up here. At this moment, a cold voice sounded from the front. Lin Xian looked in the direction of the voice and was slightly surprised. It was a graceful figure sitting there quietly. She was very beautiful, but there was a cold aura around her. It was as if nothing could catch her eye. Even for Lin Xian, she only glanced at him. The woman continued, however, by forcefully bringing them up, you've broken the rules. This is not good for them. Another handsome man in a red robe also spoke. Different strengths have different circles of strength. They haven't reached that level yet, so they aren't qualified to enter this circle. So, tell them to leave quickly. The other party's voice was very calm, but there was an irresistible command in it. Lin Xian sneered. Rules are set by people, so they naturally change according to people. There's nothing wrong with this. As for what happens in the future, you don't have to worry about it. Hearing this, the cold woman frowned but didn't say anything. The red-robed man snorted. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with Lin Xian's attitude. However, perhaps because of his status, he didn't attack. However, the blue-robed man who had been hooting earlier sneered. Kid, you're too arrogant. This isn't a place for you to be so presumptuous. Is that so? Let's see what right you have to teach me a lesson. Lin Xian's eyes narrowed and a cold light flashed in them. Then he strode toward the blue-robed man. You dare to attack me? You're courting death. The blue-robed man was furious and quickly counterattacked. The others also frowned. However, they didn't stop him because they also wanted to break Lin Xian's spirit. Kid, you're too arrogant. Today I'll teach you how to behave properly. The blue-robed man sneered and pointed his finger. Suddenly, a blue light surged out. It was extremely terrifying and quickly pierced toward Lin Xian. This sword chi was ocean blue and carried a terrifying power. Even an early-stage 2-star king couldn't resist it. Although the blue-robed man was arrogant, his strength was extremely powerful. He had even surpassed the black-robed martial artist who had been guarding the door. Lin Xian, be careful. Murong Qingqing and the others were concerned. The people on the other side sneered and watched. Lin Xian's expression was calm. He looked at the ocean blue sword chi and quickly attacked. He slowly raised his palm and pushed it out. What? He dares to resist with his bare hands? He's really courting death. Someone on the other side sneered. Although Bai Shan is only a mid-stage 2-star king, his strength is indeed powerful. Especially his true martial sword chi, it's extremely powerful. There are very few opponents in the same realm. This guy dares to resist with his bare hands? He's really courting death. Everyone sneered, thinking that Lin Xian was dead meat. However, in the next moment their expressions froze. Even the cold and haughty woman let out a soft cry of surprise. This was because in Lin Xian's hand, countless green lights surged and flashed rapidly. They formed a green vortex and blasted forward. Suddenly, the true martial sword chi encountered the vortex and quickly disintegrated. It then turned into spiritual chi and was absorbed by the green vortex. What? He broke it? How is this possible? Everyone was shocked. Even the blue-clothed youth by Shan had a face full of shock. Impossible. How could you break my true martial sword chi? He was too shocked. One should know that his true martial sword chi was a mid-grade earth-class martial art. It was extremely powerful. Very few people in the same realm were his match. However, before he could react, Lin Xian clenched his fist and slashed out a green sword chi. Damn it. Seeing the sword chi, the blue-robed man's expression changed drastically. The pupils of the few people around him shrank. This sword chi was too terrifying. It was much more powerful than the sword chi that the blue-robed man had shot out. The blue-robed man snorted. With a shake of his hand, he took out an ancient shield to resist. However, this shield was not formed by spiritual chi. It was a treasure. This was a half-step earth-class treasure. Its power was very terrifying. In fact, earth-class treasures were rare in the true spirit world. Although there were more of them than on the Jianghu continent, they were still in the hands of the top forces. However, this half-step earth-class treasure's power was several times stronger than the ones on the Jianghu continent. After all, the martial arts here were very developed. The quality was naturally much better. After summoning the ancient shield, the blue-robed man was obviously relieved. Obviously, he was very confident in his defense. Chapter 1513. That was because Lin Xian's green sword aura had cut his shield in half when it hit him. Then the sword aura had landed on his body. Fortunately, he was still wearing an inner armor, which blocked the sword chi and prevented him from being cut in half. However, the terrifying power contained in the sword chi still sent him flying. Rumble. The blue-clothed youth was sent flying. What? Bai Shan lost. The surrounding kings were shocked. They didn't expect Bai Shan to be defeated, and in one move at that. Who was his opponent? How could he be so powerful? However, they knew all the prodigies in the Dashuan Empire, and there was no such person. Could he be from another country? They were puzzled and stared at Lin Xian with unfriendly expressions. Two of them were hot-tempered and directly stood up, wanting to attack. At this moment, the aloof woman spoke up. All right, stop fighting. He's right. Rules are set by people. He does have the ability to change the rules. Let's forget about it this time. Hearing this, everyone was even more shocked. They were even more shocked than when they saw Bai Shan lose. Because they knew the identity of the cold woman. They didn't expect that even she would speak. These people naturally couldn't attack anymore. Thus they could only snort coldly. The cold woman raised her head again and looked at Lin Xian. What's your name? Where are you from? Lin Xian. As for where I came from, I'm afraid you wouldn't know even if I told you. Lin Xian. The kings on the other side whispered, clearly wanting to remember this name. At this moment, Fatty Luo also walked up and said with a smile. Not fighting anymore? Then let's sit down and have a chat. How about it? Who are you? One of them asked coldly. Obviously, the other party was Lin Xian's companion, so they naturally wouldn't treat him nicely. Fatty Luo said proudly, My surname is Luo. Surname Luo? Lin Xian was also puzzled when he heard this. Because this wasn't the first time Fatty Luo said this, but those people before didn't react. In fact, many people were also puzzled this time. This was because they didn't know that the Dashuan Empire had a powerful Luo family. However, the cold woman frowned slightly, and then she seemed to have thought of something. What's your relationship with Luo Badeo? Hee, take a guess, Fatty Luo said with a grin, refusing to answer. However, the expression on his face was one of extreme pride. Seeing this scene, the cold woman's expression became even more serious. As for the surrounding people, they were all shocked. What? Luo Badeo? It can't be, right? He can't really be related to Luo Badeo, right? Stop joking. How could such a peerless figure come here? Moreover, he only has a 2-star king tier by his side. His status doesn't match the card game. The group of people discussed animatedly. They were very confused, but Fatty Luo didn't explain at all. Instead, he sat down casually. Afterwards, Lin Xian and the others all sat down. At this moment, Fatty Luo spoke again. I've heard that Fairy Chu Yu's hands are unparalleled. I wonder if I'll be able to broaden my horizons this time? Oh, you know me? This time, it was the cold woman's turn to be surprised. Of course. Otherwise, why would I be here? Hearing this, Lin Xian's eyebrows twitched. He knew that this cold woman was very likely the alchemy faction disciple. Chu Yu nodded slightly. Then, with a flip of her jade-like hand, a few exquisite jade bottles appeared. Inside them was a resplendent liquid. Then she poured a few drops into the four-beast soup. Immediately, a rich fragrance quickly wafted out. Not only that, but there was even a sparkling light enveloping it. Fragrant. Is this the exquisite liquid? It's indeed very magical. Fatty Luo was excited. Brother Lin, this exquisite liquid is very special. It's made from 50 types of precious spirit herbs. It's very wonderful when combined with this four-beast soup. Moreover, the energy contained in it is extremely terrifying. It can even increase the cultivation of a king tier. So magical? Lin Xian was shocked. The others were also envious. However, Qiu only made 2 bowls and stopped. It was obvious that this exquisite liquid was extremely precious. Even she was not willing to use too much of it. Haha brother, I won't stand on ceremony. Fatty Luo was quick to react and snatched a bowl. When the others saw this, they were extremely envious. However, no one dared to snatch it because Fatty Luo's identity was too suspicious. Although they did not believe that Fatty Luo was related to the legendary Luo Badeo, they did not dare to make a move. If it was true, they would be dead. Therefore they had their eyes on the other bowl. However, in the next moment, the king's faces turned green because the other bowl was picked up by Lin Xian. You're courting death. How dare you? Kid, put it down. Cold shouts were heard one after another. It was obvious that they had no qualms about Lin Xian. With a cold snort, 2 people immediately attacked. The auras of these 2 kings were even more powerful than the man in blue from before. The 2 of them attacked as fast as lightning without mercy. Immediately, the void trembled and runes flickered. The light quickly enveloped Lin Xian. Scram! Lin Xian shouted coldly and attacked quickly as well. Like an azure dragon emerging from the sea, Lin Xian was extremely powerful. He threw out 2 consecutive palms and quickly exchanged blows with the 2 kings. Bang bang. A low sound was heard, causing the void to tremble rapidly. If it were not for the many kings suppressing them, the entire building would have been destroyed. Even so, cracks appeared in the void. 2 screams were heard. The 2 kings who had attacked earlier quickly retreated, their expressions extremely ugly. It was obvious that they had suffered at Lin Jian's hands. Eminent, impossible. How can he be so strong? The 2 kings were bewildered. They looked at Lin Xian and gritted their teeth, but they did not dare to attack again. Just now the 2 of them had attacked with all their might. They were only short of using their king domain, but even so, they were unable to defeat Lin Jian. This was unbelievable. After quickly repelling the 2 kings, Lin Xian looked around and said, if anyone else is not convinced, you can come out as soon as possible. Otherwise you won't have a chance. This voice was very confident. Kid, you're too arrogant. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you can defeat a 2-star king. This is not a place where you can be presumptuous. A dignified voice rang out. It was filled with a strong sense of warning and terrifying pressure. As soon as this was said, many kings were shocked. This was because the person who had spoken was a 2-star king. Although there was only a difference of 1 word between the 2, the difference in power was like heaven and earth. Judging from the reactions of the middle stage 2-star kings, it was clear how powerful the King Realm Cultivator was. It was a young man in a red robe. He looked coldly at Lin Xian. Put down that bowl of soup. I won't touch you. Chapter 15-14. Hee with Hai Wuxin, that kid is dead for sure. That's for sure. Hai Wuxin is a late-stage 2-star king. He's terrifyingly strong. No matter how strong that kid is, he won't be able to stop him. Humph, let's see how he's going to die. Daring to oppose us, this is his fate. The kings who had been at a disadvantage before were gloating. It was obvious that they were very confident in this red-robed man. Who are you? You dare to stop me? Lin Xian frowned. Do you think you have the right to get what I want? If you don't like it, you can fight. Don't talk big. Lin Xian was not afraid at all. Good. Kid, it seems like you don't know what's good for you. The red-robed Hai Wuxin was truly enraged. In terms of cultivation, I don't want to bully you, But since you don't know what's good for you, I can only suppress you, Hai Wuxin said coldly. You talk too much. Lin Xian sneered. He picked up the bowl of soup and handed it to Murong Qingqing and the others. Try it. It should taste good. Seeing this, Hai Wuxin's face immediately darkened. The other party did not listen to his warning and even dared to snatch what he wanted in front of everyone. He was courting death. In the next moment he mercilessly attacked. A large blue hand like a star quickly reached out and grabbed at Lin Xian. The blue hand glowed brightly with a terrifying aura. In an instant, cracks appeared in the void around Lin Xian. Horrifying, this was too horrifying. Late-stage 2-star king was far stronger than a mid-stage 2-star king. This power could even easily kill a mid-stage 2-star king. No wonder this Hai Wuxin was so confident. It seemed that he was indeed terrifying. Probably not many people present could subdue him. The surrounding kings paled as they watched this scene, their hearts thumping. On the other hand, Lin Xian's side was abnormally quiet. This was because Lin Xian had already opened his dragon sword domain and enveloped Murong Qingqing and the others. No matter how terrifying the blue hand was, it could not shake his dragon sword domain. Without anything to worry about, Lin Xian no longer hesitated and quickly punched out. This punch caused the space to tremble. His arm was like a dragon as it soared into the sky. It quickly traversed through the void and violently collided with the blue palm. Boom! Instantly the entire space began to tremble. This terrifying aura caused the surrounding kings to go pale and tremble. Hai Wuxin's expression changed when he felt the power of this punch. Suddenly, he roared angrily and his eyes shone with a sharp light. His aura rose once again. He was going to attack. However, Lin Xian didn't give him a chance. With a low growl, an enormous amount of power gushed out from his body and poured into his fist. Immediately, a dazzling fist emitted a resplendent green light and fiercely punched out. Boom! Boom! Hai Wuxin couldn't take it at all. His blue hand instantly cracked open, and his entire body was sent flying backwards. Blood sprayed into the sky. Time seemed to stop for a moment. Only Hai Wuxin's figure could be seen flying backwards. Everyone was stunned. Even Chu Yu, who had always been cold and aloof, was incomparably shocked. No one had expected Lin Xian to send Hai Wuxin flying with one punch. It had to be known that Hai Wuxin was already a late 2-star king, and his strength was extremely terrifying. The only one here who could confidently defeat him was probably Chu Yu. But now he had been sent flying by a 1-star king. If she had not seen it with her own eyes, she would not have believed it. How is it? Do I have the right to drink this bowl of soup? Lin Xian's lips curled up. You. Hai Wuxin fell to the ground, trembling in anger. He felt a tightness in his chest and he couldn't feel his entire arm. That punch just now was too terrifying. It had almost crippled his arm. Hearing Lin Xian's voice, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Shameful, this was too shameful. He was a late-stage 2-star king, but he could not defeat a 1-star king. Furthermore, he had been defeated in front of so many people. This made him have the urge to die. Beside him, Chu Yu's expression was grave. She asked seriously, "Who are you?" Lin Xian smiled. "I told you my name is Lin Xian." Chu Yu asked, "Which sect are you from?" Lin Xian said, "I'm not from any sect, but I want to join the alchemy sect." Chu Yu was stunned. "What? You want to join the alchemy sect?" To be honest, she was too shocked. Who would have thought that Lin Xian would make such a request? At this moment, Fatty Luo also whispered, "That's right. That's why I brought him here." "How is it? Do you think my brother is all right?" Murong Qingqing, Xinjingqiu, and Luo Bingshan all took small sips of the soup. Then they handed it to Lin Xian. Lin Xian laughed and took a big gulp. He then said, "Delicious." Chu Yu blinked. She suddenly felt that this youth in front of her was very interesting. Thus, she smiled and said, "With your skills, it's too easy to join the alchemy sect. However, I'm very curious. What's the use of learning alchemy at your age? You have to know that as long as you have the strength and money, you can buy any alchemy pill." Lin Xian also smiled. "You're wrong this time. I'm an alchemist." "Oh? You're an alchemist?" Chu Yu was surprised. To be honest, before this she did not find any signs of Lin Xian being an alchemist. However, she also knew that there were many strange people in the true spirit world. It was not impossible for him to be an alchemist. However, since he was an alchemist, he definitely had a master's inheritance. But why did he want to join the alchemy sect? This made her have no choice but to be suspicious, and she even secretly became vigilant in her heart. "Give me a reason," Chu Yu asked. Lin Xian smiled and said, "It's very simple. Although I'm an alchemist, I'm not invincible. The alchemy sect has something I want. For example, better alchemy recipes and better resources. What he said was not wrong, but it was not his main goal. His main goal was to fulfill King Pillfeather's wish. Of course he would not say this, because he did not know how many enemies King Pillfeather had. All of this would have to wait until he joined the alchemy sect. After hearing Lin Xian's words, Chu Yu pondered and did not say anything. As for the others, it was even more impossible for them to say anything because Lin Xian's strength had already stunned all of them. For a moment the entire third floor was silent. Even the air was a little stuffy. There was only the sound of Fatty Luo drinking his soup happily, and the Crimson Dragon and the Snow-White Monkey fighting over it. Chu Yu thought for a moment and said, I can indeed recommend you to join the alchemy sect, but I have a condition. Chapter 15:15. Chu Yu thought for a moment, then said, I can indeed recommend you to join the pill sect, but I have a condition. Lin Xian asked, Oh, condition? What condition? Do me a favor. There's a martial arts competition in the Dashuan Empire soon, and I want you to participate. Lin Xian was puzzled. Participate in the martial arts competition? Chu Yu said, Yes, participate in the martial arts competition. Actually, I called these people here for the same reason. This martial arts competition in the Dashuan Empire concerns the distribution of strength among the princes and princesses. As Princess Kai Dai's good friend, I naturally have to help her recruit some geniuses to participate. They're all candidates, and Hai Wuxin is one of them that I've taken a fancy to. But I didn't expect him to be so weak and lose to you in one move. At this point, Chu Yu coldly glanced at Hai Wuxin. Hai Wuxin's face instantly darkened, and he wished he could find a hole to hide in. Since you defeated him and displayed such strength, you're a suitable candidate. If you can agree to my condition and fight for Princess Kai Dai, I'll help you apply to join the pill sect. Believe me, with my strength I can definitely make you join the pill sect. However, it all depends on your performance. Lin Xian shrugged. Participate in the martial arts competition? That simple? I thought it was something else. Okay, I agree to your condition. Although your strength is beyond my expectations, I still have to remind you that there are countless experts in the Dashuan Empire, and there are many geniuses in the younger generation. There are even many 3-star kings participating, so you better be careful. I know. Lin Xian nodded. Then Lin Xian and the others left because he'd already asked. The martial arts competition in the Dashuan Empire would be held in the Imperial City. There was still more than a month left, so Lin Xian planned to immediately leave for the Dashuan Empire's Imperial City. Fatty Luo came out as well. He looked at Lin Xian and said with a smile. Hee brother, I didn't expect that we would end up together again. Lin Xian asked curiously, why? Are you also participating in this martial arts conference? It is indeed related to the martial arts conference, but I am not here to participate in the martial arts conference. I am here for another matter. What is it? Of course it's to open a gambling house. An opportunity like the martial arts competition is naturally a good opportunity to make money. Fatty Luo smiled. But I'm going to see another old friend right now, so I can't go to the Imperial City with you. Don't worry about it. Go do what you need to do, Lin Xian said. Then I'll see you in the Imperial City, Fatty Luo said with a smile. But then he reminded him in a low voice, Brother, let me give you a piece of advice. The 3 women you brought are really too eye-catching. It's fine if you're from the younger generation, but if you're targeted by some old monster, it'll be hard for you to escape. If you really came from overseas, why don't you let them join a sect? That way their safety will be protected. There are many places in the Dashuan Empire with training halls set up by the major sections. You can test a warrior's aptitude there. Why don't you go there and give it a try? That's good too. Lin Xian nodded. This matter really needed to be considered, because he would join the alchemy sect next. Murong Qingqing and the others were not alchemists, so it was obviously impossible for them to join the alchemy sect. He had to arrange a place for them to go so that he could do other things with ease. Murong Qingqing, Shen Jingqiu, and the others naturally knew about this matter. So they all nodded in agreement. The group bid farewell to Fatty Luo and quickly set off. Lin Xian and the others set off for the Imperial City. However, on the way they had to go to Jianghu City first. This was because there was a training hall there that could test a warrior's aptitude. It was a good opportunity for Murong Qingqing and the others to test themselves so that they could join a good sect. Not long after Lin Xian and the others left, the Zhao family also received the news. This was because the Zhao family was behind the Iron Fist pirate crew. Lin Xian had crippled all the kings of the Iron Fist pirate crew in public, so the Zhao family was naturally furious. They sent experts to capture Lin Xian and the others, but they didn't expect Lin Xian and the others to leave in advance. The Zhao family experts were furious that they didn't catch them, but they wouldn't give up and still quickly chased after them. Since they dared to provoke the Zhao family, they had to tear them into pieces. This time, the Zhao family sent a total of 3 late-stage 2-star kings. In addition, there were many mid-stage 2-star and 1-star kings. It was very terrifying. It seemed like the Zhao family was determined to kill Lin Xian and the others. They quickly gathered information and finally confirmed that Lin Xian and the others were heading to Jianghu city. Immediately, the 3 late-stage 2-star kings sneered. No matter where you run to, you can't escape from the Zhao family. Let's go to Jianghu city and kill that kid. Then the Zhao family kings quickly flew to Jianghu city. Jianghu city was very prosperous and had many warriors because of the Jianghu training hall. This training hall could test a warrior's aptitude, and the results of the test would be sent to the various sections. Once an outstanding genius was discovered, the various sects and forces would send people to receive them. It could be said that this was a very good method to select geniuses. This method also provided many talented warriors to the various sects and forces. It was said that there were even people who passed this test and entered the legendary sacred grounds. Of course, that was a long time ago. In the past few hundred years, there weren't many people in the Jianghu training hall who could enter the sacred grounds. The best ones could only enter the affiliated sects of the sacred grounds. However, this didn't affect everyone's enthusiasm. Lin Xian and the others landed in Jianghu city and rushed to the Jianghu plaza. Hey Tu, which sects do you think they can enter? Lin Xian asked. He had already put away the Black Earth ship, but Hey Tu had turned into a small dagger and was inserted into his hair like a hairpin. Hearing the voice transmission, Hey Tu slowly said, "It's hard to say. I haven't tested them, but at least it's an affiliated sect of the sacred grounds. As for whether they can enter the sacred grounds, it will depend on their luck." Hearing Hey Tu's voice transmission, Lin Xian nodded. Not bad, it was better than expected. Even if he went to the alchemy sect in the future, it would only be an affiliated sect of the sacred grounds. With Murong Qingqing and Shen Jingxiu's bloodline power, the sect they entered wouldn't be any worse than the alchemy sect. The arrival of Lin Xian and the others caused quite a stir. After all, the effect of beauties was too shocking. Many people looked at Murong Qingqing and the others and drooled. There were even a few who thought they were more handsome and wanted to strike up a conversation. However, they were scared away by Lin Xian. Chapter 15-16. The group stopped at the Jianghu Plaza, but they did not immediately go up to test their aptitude, because they did not know how to do the test. In the Jianghu continent there had never been such a thing. But after looking for a while they understood. The test was very simple. There were a few colorful light pillars in front of them. As long as they placed their hands on them, they would activate the colorful light pillars. The colorful light pillars were divided into 10 areas. The more light one activated, the higher the talent. As for the theory behind it, Lin Xian and the rest did not know. But according to Hey Tu's introduction, these light pillars were created by the sacred land. After looking for a while, Lin Xian realized that the Dashuan Empire was not as terrifying as he had imagined. Although there were many kings and geniuses, there were probably no peerless geniuses. This was normal. Even if there were, they would have been taken away by the great sage land. They were the true overlords of the true spirit world. Bus. A young man in his 20s walked up and activated the light pillars. He only emitted 5 rays of light. Immediately the crowd cried out in surprise. Because this was already considered a very good genius. Ordinary warriors could only activate 2 or 3 rays of light. As for the better geniuses, they could only activate 3 or 4 rays. Activating 5 rays of light could be considered good among the geniuses. Soon, the young man in his 20s stood to the side excitedly. He knew that someone would definitely come to pick him up. After him, another girl around the age of 18 or 19 stepped forward. This young girl had a delicate face and willowy eyebrows. As she walked, she carried a fragrance. Her delicate hands were placed on the light pillars. Then 7 rays of light lit up. Heavens, are my eyes playing tricks on me? She actually activated 7 rays of light. Genius, this is a top genius. It has been a long time since such a genius appeared. She can definitely enter one of the sacred land's subsidiary sects. At this moment, countless warriors were gathered in the Jianghu Plaza. When they saw this scene, they all cried out in surprise and looked at the beautiful young girl with envy. The young girl also raised her delicate little face, her expression filled with arrogance. He was like a little princess, surrounded by countless young martial artists. There was no helping it. This was too shocking. 5 rays of light was already considered a very good genius. 7 rays of light was definitely a top genius. She could definitely enter a subsidiary sect. But to enter the sacred land she was still far from it. It was said that one would need at least 10 rays of light to enter the Holy Land. However, this was too difficult. Not to mention 10 rays of light, even 8 rays of light were rarely seen. Therefore, the fact that the young girl was able to produce 7 rays of light was already a very impressive feat. After that girl, many other warriors went to take the test. However, there were no more shocking geniuses. The best one was only able to light up 6 rays of light. Seeing this scene, the girl from before became even more complacent. She raised her chin high as if she didn't put anyone in her eyes. "Qingqing, go and give it a try." At this moment, Lin Xian said with a smile. "Okay." Murong Qingqing smiled and nodded. She then let go of Lin Xian's hand and walked forward. Instantly, everyone's attention was drawn to her. It couldn't be helped. Murong Qingqing was too beautiful. Her graceful figure, beautiful face, and temperament made her seem like a fairy that had descended to the mortal world. Nothing could be more beautiful. The girl from before was also very beautiful, but compared to Murong Qingqing, she paled in comparison. "She's so beautiful." "Who is she? Since when did the Dashuan Empire have such a beauty? Why didn't I know about her? Damn. She's too beautiful. Not to mention her talent, just her beauty alone is unparalleled in the world." Exclamations were heard. The eyes of the male warriors lit up. Even some of the female warriors were amazed. However, the arrogant girl from before snorted coldly. She was extremely displeased. She was originally the pride of the heavens and the focus of everyone's attention. However, with Murong Qingqing's appearance, everyone's attention was snatched away. No one was paying attention to her. Everyone's attention was on Murong Qingqing. How could the arrogant girl stand this? However, although her expression was ugly, she had to admit that the other party was too beautiful. She couldn't compare to her in terms of looks. She could only grit her teeth and snorted softly, "Humph, just a vase." Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Murong Qingqing slowly walked to the light pillar in front of her. Then, she placed her delicate little hand on the light pillar. Everyone held their breaths and watched carefully. Even Lin Xian could not help but feel nervous. That was because this test would determine which faction Murong Qingqing would eventually enter. The light pillar in front of her reacted and flashed rapidly. 1 light, 2 light, 3 light beams. Soon, 5 light beams lit up. 5 light beams. That's not bad. She's already considered a very good genius. That's right. Coupled with her beauty, her status will definitely increase greatly if she enters the faction. Many people were discussing animatedly. Meanwhile, the arrogant girl from before snorted softly. Her eyes were full of disdain. 5 light beams. 2 light beams were lower than hers, which meant that the other party's talent was inferior to hers. So what if she's beautiful? Her talent is inferior to mine. It's useless, the arrogant girl said proudly. However, in the next moment she was stunned. She even widened her eyes in disbelief. That was because after the 5 light beams in front of her, the 6th light beam did not disappear. What? There's more. Everyone was shocked. They looked in front of them in disbelief. 6 light beams. She was already considered a top genius. They did not expect that the beautiful girl would have such good talent. However, in the next moment they screamed again because they saw the 7th light beam. Heavens, what did I see? The 7th light beam. Another top genius with 7 light beams. Shocking, it was too shocking. That beautiful girl's talent was actually so high. She was a genius. Not only was she beautiful, but her talent was also top-notch. Exclamations sounded one after another. Everyone looked in front of them enviously. Obviously, 7 light beams were already considered a top genius. With such talent, she could still enter the affiliated faction of the sacred ground. Everyone exclaimed. Meanwhile, the arrogant girl from before gritted her teeth. Her beautiful eyes were filled with malice. Damn it, how is that possible? How could she have triggered 7 light beams? Cheating. She must be cheating. The arrogant girl was really angry. Previously, she had said that the other party was a flower vase. Now the other party had triggered 7 light beams. The other party's talent was the same as hers. Wasn't that a slap to her face? Moreover, what made her even angrier was that the other party was prettier than her. As a woman, she absolutely could not tolerate that. Chapter 15-17. What made her even angrier was that the other party was prettier than her. As a woman she could not accept this. Therefore, she stared at the beautiful figure in front of her with a cold, killing intent in her eyes. Only she could become a top genius. No one else was qualified to stand beside her. "Miss, I'll take care of her." Seeing the arrogant girl's expression, two middle-aged women quickly said. Then they pulled out their swords and rushed forward like ghosts. Things were precious when they were rare. A genius with 7 rays of light was enough. Another genius would only lower the value of a genius. Therefore, for the arrogant girl's position, they had to kill Murong Qingqing. This attack was very sudden. 2 rays of cold light pierced towards Murong Qingqing like poisonous snakes. Not only that, the 2 rays of light were aimed at Murong Qingqing's vital points. What? Someone actually attacked. Seeing this scene, the crowd was shocked. They could not believe that someone dared to attack Murong Qingqing. She was a top genius with 7 rays of light. She was already a disciple of a subsidiary sect of a sacred ground. Who would dare to attack her at this time? However, things still happened. Murong Qingqing's expression also changed. Her 7 rays of light had caused a smile to appear on her beautiful face. However, the sudden killing intent caused her expression to darken again. She was not a flower vase. Her talent was extremely high and her strength was not bad. In the Jianghu continent, she was one of the top geniuses. Although she was not used to coming to the true spirit world, she was not someone who could be assassinated by just anyone. With a shout, Murong Qingqing quickly counterattacked. With a wave of her jade hands, 2 purple palms moved unpredictably and slapped out. Ping pong. 2 shocking sounds were heard. Then, the purple palms fiercely slapped on the 2 rays of cold light, causing them to retreat. Whoosh! The crowd exclaimed. They did not expect that someone would dare to fight in the Azure Moon Square. This was too bold. "Sister Murong." In the distance, Xin Jingqiu anxiously shouted. Lin Xian's expression darkened. A trace of killing intent appeared in his eyes. He did not expect that someone would dare to assassinate Murong Qingqing. This was definitely courting death. With a flash, Lin Xian arrived beside Murong Qingqing in an instant. "Are you all right?" he asked nervously. Murong Qingqing shook her head, but she didn't look well either. That was because she had rarely encountered such an assassination attempt. On the martial heaven continent, she was a heavenly daughter. Everyone could only look up to her. But after coming to this vast true spirit world, things changed in an instant. She was no longer that high and mighty princess, nor did she have the strength to crush everything. She was just an ordinary king. Therefore, she was very interested in this test because she wanted to use this opportunity to enter a good sect and strengthen her own strength. As Lin Xian's woman, she didn't want to be a burden, let alone a vase. She didn't do anything wrong, but the other party wanted to kill her? This made her extremely furious. However, what made her even more furious was that the 2 figures in the sky, who had been pushed back by the purple palm, attacked again. It seemed that they wouldn't give up until they assassinated Murong Qingqing. Umph. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Killing intent appeared in his eyes. The other party was too despicable. They actually attacked again and again. They didn't put him in their eyes at all. In the next instant he attacked as well. A golden sky peng flew out from his palm. It covered the sky and instantly circled in the sky. Its terrifying claws tore through the void like 2 golden mountains, grabbing at the 2 figures in the sky. Courting death. The 2 middle-aged women, Leng He, waved the sharp swords in their hands and slashed out a shocking long rainbow. However, in front of the golden sky peng it was useless. Crack, crack. All the sword chi broke in an instant, but the sky peng's sharp claws were still descending rapidly. Poof, poof. In the next instant, the 2 middle-aged women were caught and nailed firmly in the void. Ah! The 2 of them screamed. Their expressions were full of fear. They couldn't believe that someone would dare to subdue them in an instant. Time seemed to have stopped. The golden sky peng circled in the sky, stepping on the 2 middle-aged women. The 2 middle-aged women fought back with all their might, but they couldn't move it at all. Instead, they were hit by the rebound force. Their blood was in turmoil and their bones were trembling. "Brat, you dare to touch me? You're dead." The 2 middle-aged women looked down fiercely. They saw a handsome man standing in front of Murong Qingqing. The golden sky peng had come from the handsome man's hand. "Are you threatening me?" Lin Xian sneered. "You're just 2 slaves. How dare you threaten me? You really don't know what's good for you." "What did you say?" The middle-aged woman screamed. "Are you deaf? I said you're a slave. From the looks of it, you must have been ordered to come out by someone. Tell me who gave you the idea." At this moment, the surrounding people were shocked. They didn't expect a battle to take place in Sangyue Square. Moreover, they didn't expect Murong Qingqing to be fine. Not only that, but a handsome young man with a strong aura had appeared. In an instant, everyone was watching anxiously. "Who do you think you are? How dare you question us?" One of the middle-aged women snorted. "Brat, let us go if you know what's good for you. Otherwise, I'll make sure you die a horrible death." "You don't know what's good for you," Lin Xian sneered. Then he waved his hand. Suddenly, the golden sky peng shone brightly. Bang! In the next instant, one of the middle-aged women was crushed by the golden sky peng, turning into a bloody mist that splattered in all directions. What? She was killed. Everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe it. That was a one-star king. How could she be killed so easily? Who exactly was this handsome young man? How could he be so powerful? In the sky, the other surviving middle-aged woman screamed. That was because the blood of her companions had sprayed all over her face. Frightening, it was too frightening. She didn't expect that the other party would dare to attack her. Wasn't he afraid of revenge? In the next instant she looked down. However, when she saw the cold light in Lin Xian's eyes, her whole body trembled. That gaze was too terrifying. It was as if it could kill her instantly. At this moment, the middle-aged woman couldn't care less. She screamed, "Miss, save me." Below, the arrogant young woman's face was cold. She had sent 2 of her subordinates to kill Murong Qingqing. She had thought that it would be a piece of cake. However, she didn't expect that there would be a change. Moreover, one of her subordinates was killed in an instant. She couldn't accept that. "How dare you? Let my people go." Chapter 15:18. Sure enough, it was you. Lin Xian looked at the arrogant girl in front of him. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He had long suspected her because no one else had a reason to attack. There was only one person who had a reason to attack, and that was the arrogant girl who had also activated 7 rays of light. Now it seemed that it was indeed so. What? It was actually her? Seeing the arrogant girl, everyone exclaimed. They didn't expect her to be another top prodigy. It seemed that this matter was going to be troublesome. Wasn't she the second miss of the Dong family? Someone exclaimed. What? The Dong family? Everyone exclaimed. The Dong family was a big family in the Dashuan Empire. They were very powerful. For a moment, everyone exclaimed again and again. They looked at the arrogant girl with faces full of shock. Hearing these exclamations, the arrogant girl Dong Qian became even more proud. She was like a proud peacock. She raised her chin high and said coldly, "Did you hear that? If you offend the Dong family, you won't have a good ending. I won't make things difficult for you. Release my people and kneel down to apologize to me. I'll let you leave this place. Otherwise, I'll let you die without a burial ground." Dong Qian had a high and mighty attitude. In her opinion, as long as she mentioned the Dong family, the other party would definitely not dare to find trouble and would definitely obediently surrender. If it was a martial artist from the Dashuan Empire, perhaps this move would really work. But this time she was wrong. Because Lin Xian wasn't someone from the Dashuan Empire. Furthermore, given Lin Xian's character, he would never submit to anyone. Sure enough, Lin Xian sneered, "You really have a heart of snakes and scorpions. What's the use of someone like you being talented? In the future, when you grow up, you'll only be a scourge. It's better to get rid of you early." "What did you say?" Dong Qian was like a cat whose tail was stepped on. She immediately screamed. She was so angry that her whole body trembled. The other party dared to insult her? How was this possible? Was the other party not afraid of death? The surrounding people were also shocked. They thought that the matter was over, but they didn't expect that Lin Xian would dare to fight back. Heavens, could it be that this fellow doesn't know about the Dong family? Could he be from abroad? It's possible. Discussions broke out one after another. They guessed that Lin Xian was not from the Dashuan Empire. Otherwise, he would not have dared to fight back after hearing about the Dong family's reputation. Dong Qian sneered, "Humph. So he's just a country bumpkin." "Brat, listen carefully. My Dong family is a first-class aristocratic family in the Dashuan Empire. A country bumpkin like you can't afford to offend us. So, I advise you to obediently kneel down and apologize. If I'm in a good mood, I might let you off. Otherwise, there will be no place for you in the entire Dashuan Empire." "What Dong family? You're overestimating yourself." Lin Xian snorted and waved his hand. Suddenly, the golden rock in the sky shone again and crushed the other middle-aged woman into a bloody mist. Boom. A deep sound was heard and a bloody mist filled the air. What? Killed again? The crowd was shocked and their scalps went numb. They didn't expect the other party to be so decisive that he didn't even care about the Dong family. Dong Qian was so angry that her face turned pale. Brat, you dare to offend my Dong family? You're dead. Dead? I don't think so. You'd better worry about yourself. Lin Xian sneered and walked forward. What do you want? Dong Qian trembled when she saw the other party walking towards her. What do I want? Of course I want to kill you. Lin Xian's voice was cold like the god of death. How dare you? My lady is the second daughter of the Dong family. Moreover, she's a top genius who has activated 7 rays of light. You dare to touch my lady? You're dead. The Dong family and all the other sects won't let you off. Seeing Lin Xian walk over, 4 middle-aged women appeared and protected Dong Qian. Dong Qian screamed, "Despicable." Despicable? Lin Xian sneered, "You're not despicable when you kill someone? I'm just doing the same thing as you." Lin Xian's voice spread clearly in all directions. Hearing this, the crowd fell silent. That's right. If the Dong family's lady hadn't been despicable and attacked first, the other party wouldn't have attacked. Speaking of which, Lin Xian was the victim. What's my status? What's her status? How can we be compared to each other? You bunch of country bumpkins, you should all die. Dong Qian screamed, her eyes full of malice. Is that so? Then let's see who's going to die. Lin Xian's body emitted a dazzling light, and his aura continued to rise. The martial warriors and guards of the Dong family broke out in cold sweat because the other party's aura was too strong. Ah kid, I finally found you. Just at this critical moment, a maniacal laughter rang out. Following that, countless figures dashed over at high speed. Along with it, there was a monstrous pressure and terrifying energy. In the next moment, dozens of figures descended and appeared in the square. They're from the Zhao family. What? Why are they here? The crowd was shocked when they saw this scene. That's right, these people were martial warriors from the Zhao family. They had been searching for Lin Xian all this time and finally met him here. Kid, how dare you harm my Zhao family? Today is the day you die. Kneel down and accept your death obediently, and I'll leave you with an intact corpse. Ah, I heard that you have 3 beauties by your side. This time you must bring them back and enjoy them. Kid, this is what you get for messing with the Zhao family. Hearing this, the crowd felt their scalps go numb. They did not expect that Lin Xian and his group had actually messed with the Zhao family. How audacious. The Zhao family and the Dong family were the same. They were both first-rate families in the Dashuan Empire. They were extremely powerful and no one dared to mess with them. However, they did not expect that Lin Xian had actually messed with 2 first-rate families at the same time. What a reckless kid. Looks like I don't have to do anything. Your life will be gone. Dong Qian sneered. Isn't this the kid from the Dong family? Why are you here too? The 3 elders of the Zhao family asked. After greeting the 3 elders, Dong Qian quickly bowed and said, "This kid is too despicable. He saw that I was talented and wanted to kill me." What? There's such a thing? How audacious. We must kill him today. The Zhao family elder and the Dong family martial warrior grinned and walked forward step by step. How shameless. Snakes and rats from the same nest. Lin Xian's voice was cold. What happened today? Everyone here saw it. I think it won't be long before the world knows what's right and wrong. So what if they know? By then you'll be a dead man. The Zhao family elder grinned. Who would stand up for a dead man? Moreover, who do you think dares to mess with the Zhao family? Chapter 15:19. To be honest, although this matter was troublesome, it wasn't fatal. This was because among the cultivators of the Zhao family, the strongest was only a late-stage 2-star king. There wasn't a single 3-star king. With Lin Xian's current strength, he could defeat any 2-star king. As for 3-star kings, they might not be a match for him. Therefore, none of these people were a match for him. Even if there were more of them, he would just have to spend a little more effort. Therefore, he wasn't afraid at all. Qingqing, continue the test. Lin Xian turned around and said to Murong Qingqing. This was because he knew that Murong Qingqing hadn't activated her bloodline power yet. In other words, Murong Qingqing's talent was definitely above that of the 7 rays of light. Okay. Murong Qingqing nodded. She also knew about Lin Xian's strength. Moreover, she knew that only by displaying a stronger talent could she suppress these people. Therefore, in the next moment, she placed her slender hand on the light pillar again. Humph, it's useless to test again. No matter how strong a dead person's talent is, it's useless. The elder of the Zhao family sneered. However, Dong Qian seemed to have thought of something and screamed, kill her quickly. We can't let her test again. This was because she had already thought of a possibility, and that was that Murong Qingqing's talent was higher than hers. If that was really the case, then things would be troublesome. Killing a genius of the same level as her could increase her value. However, if she killed a genius more outstanding than her, then she would be courting death. At that time, those large sects would definitely punish her. Therefore, she couldn't let Murong Qingqing test again. Hearing this, 4 middle-aged women flew out and formed a sword formation. They quickly charged toward Murong Qingqing. These were 4 one-star kings. When they joined forces, their strength was extremely powerful. They were even comparable to 2-star kings. Previously, they had already seen Lin Xian's cultivation. He was only a 1-star king. Murong Qingqing behind him was also only a 1-star king. The 2 of them together definitely couldn't defeat them. Therefore, the 4 middle-aged women were very confident. However, Lin Xian coldly snorted. He flicked his fingers and 4 void-shattering fingers flew out. Ping 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 ping. 4 rays of light were like lightning, instantly piercing the 4 middle-aged women's heads. Blood splattered and their bodies stopped in the air and fell to the ground. What? They've all been killed? Everyone was shocked and they didn't dare believe it. This was far too frightening, right? Those were 4 one-star king tiers. Moreover, when they joined forces, they were already equivalent to 2-star king tiers. However, they had been killed in an instant. What kind of person? Murong Qingqing Murong Qingqing Murong. As for the few elders of the Zhao family, their faces were also ferocious. Damn it, this kid hid his strength. Murong. Es Murong est. I have to admit that you've indeed exceeded our expectations. But so what? You're at most a 2-star king. However, we have 3 late-stage 2-star kings on our side. Do you think you can defeat them? Brat, I advise you to stop struggling. Kneel down and surrender. Hand over the 3 beauties and I'll give you a quick death. Why are you wasting words with him? Just kill him. Bring the 3 beauties back. The Zhao family's elders laughed maniacally. However, at this moment the testing light pillar changed again. After the testing light pillar released 7 rays of light, another ray of light appeared. This ray of light was like a divine rainbow, instantly illuminating the entire plaza. What? The 8th ray of light. How is this possible? Heavens, am I dreaming? 8 rays of light, it's really 8 rays of light. That beautiful woman's talent has already surpassed the Dong family's 2nd young mistress. 8 rays of light, it had been almost 100 years since they last saw one. Heaven-defying. That beautiful woman's talent is simply too high. Everyone discussed animatedly. They were extremely shocked. Meanwhile, Dong Qian's face was pale. Impossible, this is impossible. I don't believe it. This can't be real. What she was most worried about had still happened. The other party had released 8 rays of light, which meant that his talent had already surpassed hers. This made her extremely jealous and shocked at the same time. Meanwhile, the expressions of the Zhao family's martial artists changed drastically. They did not expect the other party's talent to be so high. 8 rays of light was already a genius among geniuses. Such a person would definitely be able to enter a powerful sect. Thinking of this, killing intent surged in their hearts. Kill her. They had to kill her before the people from the other large sects arrived. Otherwise, if she entered a large sect, the Zhao family would definitely suffer. Die. In the next moment, a Zhao family elder roared and pounced over like a ferocious tiger. What? He still wants to attack. Seeing the Zhao family attack, the surrounding martial artists exclaimed in shock. On the other hand, Dong Qian heaved a sigh of relief. It seemed that the Zhao family wanted to kill the other party more than she did. As long as the 3 Zhao family elders attacked, the other party would definitely not be able to escape. That was because those 3 elders were late-stage 2-star kings. When they joined forces, they were extremely powerful. No matter how strong the other party was, he would not be able to escape. On the other side, the Zhao family elders had already arrived near Lin Xian. A terrifying palm covered the sky and completely enveloped Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing. The wind howled and the void trembled. This palm could definitely turn a 2-star king into a bloody mist. Therefore many people exclaimed in shock. In their opinion, Lin Xian and Murong Qingqing could not dodge at all. However, Lin Xian sneered. He waved his hand and a black demonic sword appeared in his hand. It was the 9 Darkness demonic sword. In the next moment he waved the demonic sword, and a black sword chi instantly streaked across the sky. A black crack instantly appeared in the void, but it quickly healed. In the sky, the huge palm quickly disappeared and finally broke into two halves. The Zhao family elder also landed on the ground, his body trembling slightly. What's wrong? What happened? Everyone's eyes widened because Lin Xian's sword technique was too fast. They did not see it clearly at all. They only saw Lin Xian pull out a demonic sword, and then the terrifying palm disappeared. Dong Qian also did not see the sword clearly, but she had a bad feeling in her heart. The other two elders of the Zhao family were frowning. One of them moved forward and quickly asked, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" However, with a gentle push, the elder who attacked earlier fell to the ground with a plop. What happened? Chapter 15:20. That old man gave a light push and immediately, the elder who had attacked earlier fell to the ground with a plop. Judging by his stiffness, he seemed to have lost all signs of life. This made everyone very confused. What happened? Everyone was shocked. They stretched their necks and looked over. Then they screamed. This was because there was a thin red line between the eyebrows of the Zhao family elder, which extended all the way to his abdomen. That was a sword mark. Could it be that the Zhao family elder is dead? Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air, extremely shocked. That's right, the Zhao family elder was killed. The red line on his body was the sword mark displayed by Lin Xian. This sword was too fast. No one saw it clearly. Even when the Zhao family elder died, his body did not split open. Impossible, how is this possible? The two elders outside felt their scalps go numb. They did not dare to believe it. That was a late-stage 2-star king. His strength was extremely terrifying. However, the other party killed him with a single sword strike. What kind of strength did he have to be able to do that? They did not dare to imagine. Dong Qian was also scared out of her wits. Impossible, I don't believe it. Careless, I must have been careless. Seniors, you must attack with all your might and kill this little thief. Dong Qian screamed crazily. She was too scared. Even a late-stage 2-star king was killed with a single sword strike. They could not resist at all. Hearing Dong Qian's words, the two Zhang family elders looked at each other. That's right, we must have been careless. This kid can't be so strong. The two of them prepared to attack with all their might and kill Lin Xian. However, at this moment, the light beam behind them changed again. After the 8th light beam, the 9th light beam lit up again. 9 rays of light. Everyone was completely dumbfounded. Even the two elders of the Zhao family stopped in their tracks. 9 light beams, what kind of talent was this? It had not appeared for hundreds of years. To be honest, the two of them did not dare to attack at all. If this kind of genius was killed by them, those big sects would definitely be furious. At that time, not only would they suffer, but the entire Zhao family would also be implicated. For a moment, everyone was stunned. At the same time, the people from the major sects also received the news of the test. When they sensed the 9 rays of light, many sects took action. 9 rays of light was already very good. Such a genius must not be missed. Immediately, many sects began to move. They had to snatch this genius before everyone else. However, some of these sects were near while others were far away, but within the Deshen Empire, these sects had their training grounds. The Cool Breeze Dao Hall was a branch of the Cool Breeze faction. One of them, an old man in a green robe, looked at the light pillar in front of him and smiled. A genius with 9 rays of light. I definitely can't miss this opportunity. Ha! I'm the closest to the Dark Moon Dojo. On the other side, a burly middle-aged man in a red robe was moving quickly. Other than that, there was also a Taoist nun riding a blue yuan, as well as an expert riding a flying sword. Without exception, they all flew towards the Dark Moon Dojo. It was obvious that their target was the genius who had activated the 9 rays of light. That was Murong Qingqing. However, these people did not know that after they left, the testing light pillar lit up once again. This ray of light was like a divine chain that completely covered the surroundings. The light that it emitted was even brighter than the sun. 10 rays of light. Everyone was shocked and dumbfounded. 10 rays of light. No one had appeared for close to 1,000 years. Who would have thought that it would appear again this time? This time, not only were the subsidiary sects alarmed, but even the sacred grounds were alarmed. The eastern wilderness was vast and boundless. The Dashuan Empire was only one of the countries on this continent, and its strength was only considered average. However, there were still a few overlords in the eastern wilderness. They were the sacred grounds and the remote antiquity families. Among them, the remote antiquity families were mainly clans. Most of them were descendants of the great emperor, and they did not accept outsiders. Therefore, they would not choose disciples from outside. However, the sacred grounds were different. They searched the entire continent for exceptional geniuses to become disciples. These two seemed to have their own advantages. However, until now, the sacred grounds and the remote antiquity families were still the pinnacle of existence. No one could surpass them unless there was a real great emperor. However, it had been a long time since a great emperor had appeared in the true spirit world. In a fairyland somewhere in the eastern wilderness. Water was flowing, birds were singing, and flowers were fragrant. Rainbows formed a bridge and spiritual chi surrounded it. This place was like a fairyland. Purple chi floated in the air, bringing with it a hint of mystery. This was one of the sacred grounds in the eastern wilderness, the Wuxia sacred ground. At this moment, in a testing area in the Wuxia sacred ground, a light pillar suddenly burst out with brilliant light. It was like a purple sun that shone in all directions. This is? The disciple in charge of guarding the place was shocked. He had never seen such a situation before, so he quickly reported it to the higher-ups of the sect. Soon, this strange phenomenon alarmed the entire Holy Land. A few people surrounded by purple chi arrived. They stared at the sun-like ray in shock. This phenomenon. Could it be that bloodline? An elder in a purple robe was excited. That's right. It's definitely that bloodline constitution. Beside him, a middle-aged Taoist nun stood on a cloud like a fairy. Her eyes were also filled with shock. Other than that, there were also a few terrifying people. All of them were shocked. They were too shocked. They did not expect that such a bloodline would really appear. The heavens are blessing our Wuxia sacred ground. We must not miss it. The purple-robed elder laughed loudly. Then he quickly asked, "Where did this news come from?" "Dashuan Empire, Azure Moon Dojo." The disciple quickly reported. He knew that the people in front of him were all incredible people. At the same time, he was also very puzzled. Just what kind of bloodline and physique did he have to be able to attract these legendary figures? Dashuan Empire? Quick, inform the disciples near the Dashuan Empire. They must bring that person back. If anyone dares to stop them, kill them without mercy. The purple-robed elder's voice was filled with a trace of majesty. Yes. The disciples quickly agreed. Then they quickly got busy. Suddenly, rays of light arrays lit up. Obviously, they were passing the news to the disciples of the sacred sect far away in the Dashuan Empire. No, I'm not at ease. I'll send a few more people to help. That kind of bloodline constitution is absolutely not allowed to have any mishaps. The middle-aged Taoist nun also said in a deep voice. Yes, send a few elders over and seal the news until the other party safely enters our Wuxia sacred ground. Hearing that, the surrounding disciples were shocked. They widened their eyes in disbelief. Chapter 15:21. Yes, send a few elders over and seal off the news until she safely enters the Wuxia sacred land. Hearing this, the surrounding disciples were shocked. Their eyes widened in disbelief. What kind of bloodline is it? Why are these powerhouses so concerned? The surrounding disciples were shocked. Their eyes widened in disbelief. What kind of bloodline is it? Why are these powerhouses so concerned? They didn't know what kind of bloodline it was, but they knew that if anything happened to her, it would definitely cause the entire Wuxia sacred land to go crazy. In the end, the middle-aged Taoist nun sighed. Forget it, I'll go with you. Otherwise, I won't be at ease. Okay. The purple-robed elder nodded. Then, the middle-aged Taoist nun turned into a purple light and disappeared into the sky. Lin Xian and the others didn't know about the commotion in the Wuxia sacred land. However, the entire Cangyu square was in a state of shock. They looked at the 10 bright lights in front of them and were all stunned. 10 lights. Heavens, what did I just see? A miracle. It's definitely a miracle. 10 lights haven't appeared in more than 1,000 years, right? This is too heaven-defying. This beautiful woman is definitely a top genius. At this moment, everyone was shocked and their hearts were beating wildly. As for the warriors of the Zhao family and Dong family, their faces were pale and filled with despair. 10 lights. She had actually activated 10 lights. How was that possible? Now, even if they wanted to kill her, they didn't dare to act rashly. 10 lights were enough to enter the legendary sacred land. That was a true peerless sacred land. Its power was unimaginable. It wasn't something that they could fight against. Thinking of this, their bodies even trembled. Among them, A few warriors of the Zhao family had ugly expressions and almost knelt on the ground. Dong Qian also lost her arrogant expression. Her face was pale and she even wanted to run away. Lin Xian was also surprised. He didn't expect Murong Qingqing to activate 10 lights and cause such a commotion. But soon after he started laughing. That was because this situation was simply too satisfying. Just by looking at the reactions of the Zhao family and the Dong family, he knew that Murong Qingqing's talent was beyond imagination. Most people wouldn't dare to touch her. This made him feel much more at ease. He too was also surprised because he did not expect Murong Qingqing to be able to release 10 light pillars. Murong Qingqing smiled like a blooming flower. She heaved a heavy sigh of relief in her heart. She knew she was safe. Not only her but Lin Xian and the others were also safe. Not long after, the sound of something breaking through the air came from the sky. Then, powerful figures descended one after another. Feeling this aura, everyone held their breaths and widened their eyes. Many of them even began to tremble. These auras were too strong. Lin Xian also raised his eyebrows in surprise. This was because he also felt a wave of pressure. This aura definitely surpassed that of a 3-star king realm. There were even a few that made him feel suffocated. I am Qing Fengzi. An old voice rang out. What? Qing Fengzi? Could it be an elder of the Qing Feng sect? Everyone exclaimed. The Qing Feng sect was a subsidiary sect of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. Its status was very powerful and was equivalent to the royal family of the Dashuan Empire. Ah! The Dark Ocean Palace is here. Another loud and clear voice rang out. Fuck, it was another subsidiary sect. Everyone was shocked. They realized that there were also Blue Flower Sect, Northern Sword Sect and other sections. Without exception they were all very powerful. Moreover, they knew that these were only the first few sects to arrive. There would definitely be more behind. At this moment, the representatives of the 4 sects in the sky looked down and quickly searched. Obviously they were looking for the peerless genius. Soon, someone's gaze landed on Dong Qian, but Vivian shook her head. Dong Qian was not bad, but now she was not worth mentioning. Seeing the other party look away, Dong Qian's face turned pale. She was extremely jealous, but she did not dare to be presumptuous. Found her. Soon the 4 people in the sky smiled. Obviously they had found the true peerless genius. Murong Qingqing. Murong Qingqing felt the 4 pairs of eyes on her, and her heart skipped a beat. She quickly bowed and greeted the seniors. You are the genius who triggered the 10 light pillars? Among them, the elder of the Cool Breeze sect asked. Yes. Murong Qingqing nodded. Are you willing to join my Cool Breeze sect? Qing Fengzi asked quickly. However, before Murong Qingqing could answer, the other 3 people were unwilling. Qing Fengzi, what do you mean? Among them, the lady in a blue dress asked coldly. That's right. What's so good about your Cool Breeze sect? Why don't you join my Dark Ocean Palace? My Northern Sword sect is better. Voices rang out, filled with strong confidence. Everyone was stunned. They did not expect the 4 of them to fight. However, this also showed how heaven-defying Murong Qingqing's talent was. When the warriors of the Zhao family saw this scene, their faces turned ugly. They knew that there was no hope of killing the other party, at least not now. On the other hand, Dong Qian's face was pale, and she was trembling with anger. This honor originally belonged to her, but it was snatched away by someone else. She was unwilling to accept this. Lin Xian, on the other hand, smiled. He was very satisfied with this scene. However, in the sky, the debate between the 4 experts became more and more intense. At this moment, the lady from the Blue Flower sect said, Let's not fight. Let her choose. Okay. The other 3 agreed. In the next moment, the 4 of them looked at Murong Qingqing again. Little girl, which sect do you want to join? Qing Fengzi asked. My Cool Breeze sect is a subsidiary sect of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. It is very powerful. If you join us, you might have a chance to enter the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. Humph, join my Blue Flower sect and you will have a chance too. The lady in blue did not let it go. Obviously, the Blue Flower sect was also a subsidiary sect of the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. The Dark Ocean Palace is better. If you join, I will let you become a core disciple. The burly middle-aged man said. Core disciple. Hearing this, everyone exclaimed. They did not expect that the other party would become a core disciple as soon as she entered. There were different types of sect disciples, and the best type was the core disciple. This condition moved countless people. The North Sword sect's treatment is better. I will recommend you to become the sect leader's disciple. Whoosh! Everyone was shocked and went crazy. However, Murong Qingqing smiled bitterly. She did not know how to choose. Originally, she only wanted to join a subsidiary sect, but now there were 4 subsidiary sections. At this moment she really did not know how to choose. Lin Xian was speechless. It seemed that being too talented was also a problem. She won't go anywhere. However, at this moment, another voice was heard, and it resounded in all directions. This voice was full of majesty, and it made everyone's hair stand on end. Chapter 1522. That voice shocked everyone. Could it be that the sects are here to fight again? Everyone looked into the distance again. Even the 4 experts in the sky turned their heads one after another. In the next moment, everyone was stunned. This was especially true for the 4 powerhouses. Their expressions changed drastically. In the distant sky, a purple ray of light flew over quickly. At first it was still very far, but in the blink of an eye, it was already in front of them. That ray of light wrapped around 3 figures, 2 men and a woman. One of them was a middle-aged man, the other was a young man and a young woman. The 3 of them were surrounded by purple light. Although their cultivation couldn't be seen clearly, the aura emitted was even more terrifying than the previous 4 experts. Which sect are they from? Everyone in the square looked up at the sky, puzzled. Indeed, they had never seen them before. However, the previous 4 experts' faces changed drastically. Among them, the elder Qing Fengzi exclaimed, "Purple Glow Holy Land. You are from Purple Glow Holy Land." What? Purple Glow Holy Land? They are genius martial artists from the Holy Land. Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Shocking, this was really too shocking. One had to know that they had never seen martial artists from the Holy Land. Because although the Dashuan Empire was powerful, compared to the Holy Land it was much worse. At most, it was on par with those affiliated sects of the Holy Land. Therefore, those martial artists from the Holy Land would not come at all. Even if they came, these people would not see them. But they did not expect that the martial artists from the Holy Land would actually come to Blue Moon Square now. Heavens, these martial artists from the Holy Land wouldn't be here for that stunning young girl, right? Heaven-defying. It has been more than 1,000 years since such a thing happened. Everyone was envious while the Zhao family members were sweating cold sweat. The worst thing they expected had happened. The other party had finally attracted the attention of the Holy Land. Now they did not dare to touch the other party at all, and even worried about being retaliated by the other party. Thinking of this, they had an impulse to run away. On the other side, Dong Qian was gnashing her teeth. She was going crazy with jealousy. In the sky, Qing Fengzi and the other 3 were also puzzled. They did not expect that the people from Purple Glow Holy Land would actually come. Could it be that they were also here for the genius below? They could not understand because when they left, they only knew that the other party had activated 9 light pillars. As for the matter of the 10 pillars of light, they did not know. Moreover, they didn't know that the other party had a special bloodline physique that made the Purple Afterglow Holy Land go crazy. However, although they were extremely puzzled, they did not dare to be presumptuous. After all, the hallowed grounds were not in existence that they could provoke. The middle-aged warrior from the Purple Dawn Holy Land looked down at Murong Qingqing and nodded slightly. Very good. My Purple Afterglow Holy Land wants this person. A steady voice sounded. What? Purple Afterglow Holy Land wants it? Everyone was shocked. Heavens, the Purple Dawn Holy Land is really going to take it. Isn't this too shocking? Their eyes widened in disbelief. One had to know that such a situation had not happened for many years. Now, they were actually witnessing a martial artist become a disciple of a holy land with their own eyes. Gulp, gulp. The sound of countless people swallowing their saliva was heard. Dong Qian was so angry that she was trembling. She wanted nothing more than to pounce on them. The faces of the Zhao family members were even paler. Qing Fengzi and the other 3 sucked in a breath of cold air. They didn't expect that the other party was really here for the woman below. Taking a deep breath, Qing Fengzi said, "Since the Purple Dawn Holy Land has spoken, we will naturally comply." The other 3 nodded as well. Then they retreated to the side. The middle-aged man in purple nodded his head in satisfaction. Then he looked down and said to Murong Qingqing, "Come with us." Murong Qingqing took a deep breath. To be honest, she was too excited. She didn't expect that she would eventually attract people from the Holy Land. Moreover, the Purple Dawn Holy Land would directly recruit her. However, she still looked at Lin Xian to seek his opinion. Lin Xian smiled. "This is a good opportunity. Don't give it up." "I understand." Murong Qingqing nodded. "I am willing to join the Purple Dawn Holy Land." "Good." The middle-aged man in purple laughed. Then he waved his hand. A force wrapped around Murong Qingqing and brought her to his side. Lin Xian, remember to look for me? Murong Qingqing transmitted her voice. Then the group turned into a purple rainbow and left the place. Phew. Only when the figure disappeared did everyone heave a sigh of relief. They had no choice. The aura of the 3 Holy Land martial artists was too strong. It made it hard for them to breathe. In the sky, the 4 experts sighed and prepared to leave. Just then Lin Xian smiled and said, "Seniors, please wait." The 4 of them were stunned. They stopped and looked down. "What's the matter?" Qing Fengzi frowned and asked. "Seniors, please wait. I have a friend who wants to be tested," Lin Xian said. Hearing that, the man from the Deep Sea Palace showed a trace of impatience. The woman from the Blue Flower sect was puzzled. "Friend, is that peerless genius your friend?" "Yes," Lin Xian smiled and said, "My other 2 friends are not bad either. Why don't you take a look?" Lin Xian had his own ideas. He knew that Shen Jingqiu and Luo Bingshan were not bad and could at least enter an affiliated sect. That was why he stopped the 4 of them. "All right, I'll take a look." Qing Fengzi was interested. The other 3 stayed as well. Anyway, it wouldn't take much time. "Qiu, you do it." Lin Xian waved his hand. "Oh." Shen Jingqiu nodded and walked over in small steps. "Another peerless beauty." The crowd exclaimed and was envious. "This kid is too lucky. He has 3 peerless beauties by his side." "Yeah. Who is he?" a group of people discussed. Shen Jingqiu quickly came to the front of the light pillar and placed her hand on it. Suddenly the light pillar shone. 1, 2, 3. Soon 7 light pillars lit up. Everyone's hearts were in their mouths. Everyone swallowed their saliva and widened their eyes. Because the 9th light pillar lit up. 9 again. Many people exclaimed. They realized that another top genius had appeared. Moreover, it was another peerless beauty. God, where did they come from? In the sky, Qing Fengzi and the other 3 were surprised. They were just curious and didn't expect the other party to really activate 9 light pillars. Such talent was enough to enter their sect. Not bad. Not bad. Little girl, your talent is abnormal. It's really surprising that you can gather together. The few of them nodded and their eyes lit up. They were ready to snatch the girl again. However, in the next moment they were stunned again. There was even a look of shock on their faces. Not only the 4 experts but the entire square was stunned again. Everyone was stunned. Even Lin Xian widened his eyes. Chapter 1523. What? Another 10 beams of light. Everyone was stunned and could not believe it. This was too shocking. They had just witnessed a peerless genius with 10 beams of light. They did not expect to see it again. For a moment, everyone was dumbfounded. In the sky, the 4 peerless experts were also stunned. Originally, they only wanted to see it out of curiosity. However, they did not expect another peerless genius to appear. Thinking of this, the corners of their mouths twitched. Although this kind of genius was good, they could not get their hands on it. This kind of genius was destined to enter the sacred ground. To be honest, Lin Xian was also stunned when he saw this. He did not expect Shen Jingqiu's talent to be the same as Murong Qingqing's. However, he then smiled. This made him feel even more relieved. However, they did not know that behind these 10 beams of light, there was an earth-shattering event. Eastern Wilderness, another sacred ground, Jade Lake Sacred Ground. Jade Lake was a place in ancient mythology. However, since this sacred ground dared to use Jade Lake as its name, one could imagine how terrifying it was. At this moment, something happened in Jade Lake's sacred ground. Their testing beam of light suddenly bloomed with endless light. Then a phoenix quickly formed and rushed into the sky. The phoenix hovered in the sky and then dropped tens of thousands of beams of light. There was even a mysterious sound in the sky. Zither and Phoenix singing. This phenomenon directly alarmed the entire sacred ground. Phoenix bloodline, this is the Phoenix physique. Heavens, this legendary bloodline has actually appeared again. They were too excited. In the true spirit world, there were many special bloodlines and physiques. Some of them were very special. They were the favored children of heaven and earth and contained powerful energy. The Phoenix bloodline was one of them. Quick, we must find him. Immediately, the entire Jade Lake moved quickly. On the other side, Dashuan Empire, Songyue Square. Everyone was still in a daze. At this moment, a cloud of green mist appeared in the sky. The green mist swirled with light, bringing with it a terrifying energy that made people tremble all over. Ah! A genius with 10 beams of light. I didn't expect to find him. If that's the case, then come with me. The green mist rolled quickly and then surged downward. Like a long green river, it was extremely strange. The green wave spread and quickly enveloped Shinjingqiu. You're courting death. Lin Xian roared and slashed out with his sword. However, he was unable to resist it. This was because the green mist was simply too terrifying. Soon his sword chi was shattered. However, at this moment, the 4 experts in the sky made their move. Qing Fengzi snorted and quickly made his move. With a flick of his sleeve, the void trembled, forming a ray of light that slashed forward. It was like a bolt of lightning that illuminated the void. Boom. The attack collided with the green weapon, creating a loud boom, but it was unable to block it. What? Qing Fengzi was stunned, not daring to believe it. Watch me. A woman from the Blue Flower sect made her move. Her blue hair fluttered in the wind, her eyes were clear, and her temperament was incomparably ethereal. A blue petal appeared on his body, quickly expanding and pushing out. Bang! It was as if a sudden clap of thunder had exploded in the heavens and the earth, causing the void to shake and hum. This energy was too terrifying, causing the martial artists below to turn pale. However, it was still unable to block it. That green light quickly rushed downwards. Accompanying it was a disdainful voice. Just a few 4-star kings and you want to stop me? What a joke. Damn it. Who are you? The woman from Blue Flower sect asked in a deep voice. Oh no, are you the green-robed king? Qing Fengzi exclaimed. Haha, I didn't expect someone to recognize me. The voice was extremely arrogant. Since you know me, why don't you get lost? With an angry roar, the void exploded, and a terrifying energy swept in all directions. Not good. In the sky, the 4 people's faces changed drastically. They quickly counterattacked. The North Sword sect was the first to make a move. The blood-red sword in his hand emitted a cold light, piercing toward the green mist. This attack was extremely terrifying, erupting with a dazzling light. It was like a sudden clap of thunder that shook the entire void. It was clearly a ray of sword chi, but it was like a divine rainbow descending, incomparably sharp. Kill? At the same time, the burly middle-aged man from Deep Sea Palace also made his move. A blue fist blasted out and it was extremely violent. It directly pierced through the void and arrived in front of him. Qing Fengzi and the Blue Flower sect also erupted, pouncing over to stop the green mist. In an instant, a terrifying energy exploded. Everyone was stunned, not expecting such an unforeseen event to happen. They quickly retreated and watched nervously. Bang, bang, bang. A series of low sounds rang out, and then Qing Fengzi and the other 3 were forced to retreat. Damn it, he's a 5-star king. Damn it. The 4 people's faces were ugly. They were only 4-star kings, and even if they joined forces, they couldn't fight against a 5-star king. What, a 5-star king? Hearing this, everyone was stunned and Lin Xian's face was also gloomy. A 5-star king was too terrifying. Although he had the great dragon sword soul, he probably couldn't block it. Haha, now you know how powerful I am. The voice was extremely arrogant. Get lost or don't blame me for starting a massacre. Green-robed king, although you're strong, I advise you not to attack. That's a genius that the sacred ground has taken a fancy to. Qing Fengzi gritted his teeth and said. Sacred ground? Don't scare me. The green-robed king sneered. The sacred ground is powerful, but they won't come here. By the time they come, I'll be long gone. Ha ha. That girl looks good and her talent is even better. She should be able to improve my green shadow divine art to another level. As he spoke, he looked up to the sky and laughed. The 4 people's faces were ugly, and Shinjingqiu's face was also pale. Just as everyone was in despair, the void suddenly trembled. Then light bloomed and waves of ripples spread out. Everyone was stunned as they looked up. In the sky, the void seemed to have been torn apart and a black hole appeared. Then a jade-like foot stepped out of the black hole. Then a figure that was emitting light appeared. Tens of thousands of rays of light descended, as if a fairy had descended. Although they couldn't see her face, they could vaguely recognize that she was a woman. Who's attacking? A cold voice rang out. Who are you? How dare you interfere in my business? The green-robed king sneered. How dare you touch my Jade Lake's people? The cold voice rang out again. What? Jade Lake? It's someone from the sacred ground. Everyone exclaimed in disbelief. Qing Fengzi and the girls from the Blue Flower sect also quickly bowed. What? Jade Lake's sacred ground. Hearing this, the green-robed king's face changed greatly. Then he couldn't care about anything else and turned around to escape. Although he had defeated Qing Fengzi and the other three, and although he was a 5-star king, he was nothing in front of a sacred ground. He could only escape. You still want to leave? Stay. Chapter 1524. With a wave of his palm, rays of light danced in the air. This palm was too bright. It was like the sun, causing the entire world to lose its color. Damn it, block it. The green-robed king roared angrily and then used his king domain. Suddenly, a green domain quickly enveloped him. The entire void trembled, forming a green fortress that quickly resisted the shining palm in the sky. Boom. In the next moment, a low sound was heard. The green king's domain exploded, turning into countless fragments. Not only that, the green-robed king's body also exploded, forming a cloud of blood mist. In front of this palm, the domain that he was so proud of and the strength of a 5-star king were useless. What? The green-robed king was killed. Everyone was shocked and gasped. That was a 5-star king and he was killed with a single palm? They couldn't believe it. One had to know that the green-robed king had defeated Qing Fengzi and the other three. He was extremely powerful. However, such a powerful figure couldn't even block a single move. What cultivation level did that woman reach? She was so terrifying. Was this the strength of a sacred ground? So powerful. Lin Xian also raised his head, his eyes flickering. He was shocked. That palm strike just now made his hair stand on end. It also let him know the strength of a sacred ground. No wonder they were the overlords of the true spirit world. They were indeed powerful. Follow me. In the sky, the shining figure said slowly. Hearing this, Xin Jingqiu turned her head and looked at Lin Xian. Brother Lin Xian, I'm leaving. Remember to look for me. I'll miss you. Then her figure floated into the sky. Together with the figure from the Jade Lake sacred ground, she entered the black hole again. In the next moment, the two figures entered the black hole, and the black vortex also quickly disappeared. In the end, the entire sky became clear again. Everyone heaved a sigh of relief. The scene just now was like a dream. Qing Fengzi and the other three also sighed, then looked at Lin Xian again. Kid, you still have a friend. Let her take the test. Hearing this, the corners of everyone's mouths twitched, and they looked at Lin Xian strangely. Since the first two were geniuses who had managed to trigger 10 rays of light, they were eager to know if the third person was a peerless genius too. Bingshan, you do it. Lin Xian nodded and waved at Luo Bingshan. Then Luo Bingshan stepped forward and arrived in front of the light pillar. This time it was not 10 rays of light but 9 rays of light. Finally, after confirming that there were 9 rays of light, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, there weren't 10 rays of light. Otherwise, this scene would be too heaven-defying. In the sky, Qing Fengzi and the other three heaved a sigh of relief. Luckily, a genius with 9 rays of light was just right for them. This trip was not in vain. Little doll, are you willing to follow us? The moment Qing Fengzi asked this question, he regretted it. Because the void split open again and a figure walked out. That figure was mysterious. His body was shrouded in countless demonic clouds, and it was impossible to see clearly. However, the aura that emanated from his body was incomparably terrifying. He was like a demon king standing in the void. He did not look at anyone, nor did he say anything. With a wave of his hand, the demonic clouds rumbled and covered Luo Bingshan, bringing him away. Everyone was stunned. The entire scene was eerily quiet. Lin Xian frowned. He did not even know which sect the other party was from. Sigh. With a sigh, he could only shake his head. He could only say that this was Luo Bingshan's opportunity, and he could not interfere with it. Hopefully there would be a chance to meet him in the future. In the sky, Qing Fengzi and the other three were speechless. It was not easy to find a genius with 9 rays of light. Originally, they wanted to recruit him into their sect, but they did not expect such a change to occur. However, they did not dare to say anything because the aura that the figure gave off was too terrifying. It made their hair stand on end. Little doll, do you have any friends? Or do you want to be tested? Qing Fengzi did not give up and looked at Lin Xian once again. However, Lin Xian shook his head. The 3 people he had brought with him had already finished their tests, and he was not going to be tested. Seeing this, Qing Fengzi and the other 3 sighed. Then their bodies swayed and they quickly left the place. What? They left. Everyone was stunned. They did not expect the 4 of them to leave just like that. The one with the worst expression was Dong Qian. She was stunned. One must know that she was also a genius with 7 rays of light and could enter the affiliated sect. However, Those four powerhouses from before did not even take a look at her and directly flew away. This made her feel hopeless. It's you, it's all your fault. It's all because of you that I missed this opportunity. She glared viciously at Lin Xian, her face full of malice. Humph. Lin Xian snorted coldly. You're a piece of trash and you're blaming it on others? What a joke. What did you say? Dong Chen screamed. Kill him for me. Yes, Mississippi. Suddenly, an old woman with a walking stick walked out from behind her. Her face was full of wrinkles. Her aura was asking for a beating. She was also a late two-star king? At the same time, the two elders of the Zhao family also walked up. The three of them stood side by side and killing intent surged from their bodies. They had no choice. They had already offended Lin Xian, and they had to kill him quickly. Otherwise, they would be finished when Lin Xian joined forces with the disciples of the Holy Lands. Humph, so what if your friends have entered the Holy Lands? They are them and you are you. You might not be able to contact each other in this lifetime. Since you dared to offend us, you can die obediently. The three of them quickly activated their king domains and charged towards Lin Xian. The terrifying king domains shone brightly, cutting through the void. The three king domains carried shocking killing intent as they charged towards Lin Xian. Lin Xian's expression was cold. His body swayed and he quickly dodged the killing intent. Boom. The place where his combat strength was turned into a black hole. Humph, let's see how you dodge. The three of them sneered and attacked again. Since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Lin Xian's voice was cold as he quickly activated the Dragon Sword domain. Suddenly, a green light appeared around him. Countless sword chi shocked the heavens, forming a special domain. Buzz, buzz. In the next moment, the four domains collided and a shocking sound rang out. Humph, so what if you're strong? Do you think you can stop the three of us? The old woman sneered. The two elders of the Zhao family also looked ferocious. They were very confident that they could kill Lin Xian. Not good, that kid is in danger. Yes, three late two-star kings. He can't stop them at all. Everyone shook their heads. Lin Xian roared and the Dragon Sword domain trembled. Sword chi exploded and a green light shot into the sky. Then Lin Xian's body flashed with light, bringing with it a shocking murderous intent. Chapter 1525. This aura was too terrifying. Everyone felt a chill down their spines. Lin Xian's Dragon Sword realm rolled rapidly, and countless rays of light gathered on his arm. Then a Qilin phantom appeared, looking disdainfully at the surroundings. It carried a terrifying energy as if it was going to destroy the world. Accompanying it was a low roar that made one's scalp go numb. Qilin arm. This was one of the ultimate skills that Lin Xian had learned on the Black Earth. At this moment it was extremely powerful. After using the Qilin arm, Lin Xian roared and punched out. The Qilin roared, carrying a terrifying energy as it rushed forward. Suddenly the expressions of the three late two-star kings from the Zhao family and Dong family changed. Boom. There was a shocking collision, and then the Qilin arm slammed into the three realms, emitting a terrifying energy. Crack, crack, crack. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the three realms started to crack. What? How is this possible? Everyone's scalp went numb in disbelief. What kind of power was this? How could it be so terrifying? How could it shatter their realms with a single punch? One had to know that the three of them were late two-star kings. When they joined forces, they were extremely terrifying. However, Yi Fuqian had actually shattered their king's domains with a single punch. This was simply too shocking. Damn it, quickly counterattack and kill him. The old lady from the Dong family roared crazily. Then she activated her Silver King realm and slashed out a huge silver half-moon. Silver moon slash. A shocking ray of light like a crescent moon streaked across the void. Space-splitting slash. A black sword ray shot out quickly and slashed down. Roar of death. On the other side, the king realm vibrated and formed a ghost head that let out a shocking roar. The three late two-star kings used extremely powerful ultimate skills at this moment and quickly attacked Lin Xian. Lin Xian, on the other hand, let out a long roar as the Dragon Sword domain erupted with an incomparably dazzling light. Qilin arm, Qilin kill. In an instant, the power of the Dragon Sword realm circulated crazily and supported the Qilin wall. Suddenly the entire arm bloomed with incomparably bright light. The illusory image of the Qilin became even more solid, as if it was a real divine beast. In the next instant, Lin Xian punched out, forcefully blocking the three king-level attacks. Boom, boom. An earth-shattering collision sound rang out once again, and the entire void became distorted. In the sky, the ultimate moves of the three great kings were smashed apart by this single punch, shattering into countless shards. The expressions of the three kings changed as they were sent flying. What? He was sent flying? Everyone exclaimed in disbelief. Damn it, this is impossible. Dong Qian's face was also pale. She couldn't believe it. She did not expect the other party to be so powerful. As for the three late-stage two-star king tiers, their expressions were even more horrified. What kind of power was this? It actually made them tremble. Is he really a one-star king? How could there be such power? Even more terrifying than a three-star king? They truly had no idea what was going on. However, they knew that the other party's strength was beyond their imagination. At this moment they did not dare to stay at this place at all. They quickly fled. The old woman waved her hand, instantly wrapping Dong Qian up and flying into the distance. The two elders of the Zhao family also joined forces to escape. Trying to escape? Lin Xian sneered. His body was like a ray of sword light as he quickly chased after them. He was chasing after the two elders of the Zhao family. As for the dark red divine dragon, it flew towards the martial artists of the Dong family. Boom, boom. Two sounds rang out. Then those who had escaped flew back again. Everyone was shocked and their scalps went numb. As for Dong Qian, she screamed. If you dare to touch me, the Dong family will not let you off. Smack. The dark red divine dragon waved its claw and directly slapped her. Instantly, a red mark appeared on her delicate face. You talk too much. The dark red divine dragon snorted. This guy actually dared to kill Murong Qingqing. This made it very unhappy. On the other side, the two martial artists of the Zhao family also said coldly, Brat, do you really want to be enemies with us? You have to think carefully. Our Zhao family and Dong family are first-rate families in the Dashuan Empire. If you dare to touch us, you will definitely not be able to move an inch in the Dashuan Empire. Even now you still dare to threaten me? Lin Xian sneered, I don't know what will happen in the future, but I know that the two of you must die today. After speaking, he waved his hand, and the dragon sword realm directly enveloped the two of them. Countless rays of sword chi turned into resplendent rays, instantly piercing towards the two of them. The aura was too terrifying. It was like a peerless divine weapon, incomparably sharp. It directly pierced through the bodies of the two elders of the Zhao family. The dragon sword realm disappeared, and the bodies of the two elders of the Zhao family fell to the ground. Fresh blood flowed, dyeing the ground red. Looking at this scene, everyone's scalp went numb. The remaining martial artists of the Zhao family fled like crazy. Lin Xian waved his arm and dozens of rays of sword chi flew out, killing all of them. In a moment, the martial artists of the Zhao family were all wiped out. Then Lin Xian turned around and looked at the Dong family again. Feeling that gaze, Dong Qian's body trembled, and her expression was incomparably ugly. She did not expect that the other party would actually dare to make a move. That Zhao family was the same as their Dong family, a first-rate family. Could it be that he was not afraid of crazy revenge? Brat, you dare to touch me, you're dead. Dong Qian screamed. She did not have any strength to resist at all and could only threaten. Brat, I advise you to quickly let me go. My brother is nearby. When he comes, you're definitely dead. My brother is a 3-star king, a prodigy of the younger generation. He's also the third prince's right-hand man. Moreover, he will soon participate in the Empire's martial arts conference. He will definitely be famous throughout the world. You dare to touch me, you're dead. However, these threatening words were pale and pitiful in Lin Xian's eyes. Participate in the martial arts conference? 3-star king? Is he very strong? Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. In the next moment, the dragon sword realm flew out again, enveloping Dong Qian and the martial artists of the Dong family. Lin Xian said coldly, I have no enmity with you, but you wanted to assassinate my woman because of jealousy. I can't forgive you for that. So, you're in this situation now because you asked for it. Lin Xian said coldly. Then he raised his hand and was about to activate the dragon sword realm. However, at this moment, an angry roar came from afar. Who dares to touch the people of my Dong family? This voice was extremely terrifying, like dozens of thunderbolts exploding in the air. However, hearing this voice, Dong Qian cried out in alarm, Brother, save me. Let go of my sister, kneel on the ground and wait for death, or I'll tear you into pieces. That figure rushed over at an extremely fast speed. Chapter 1526. Suddenly, the dragon sword realm exploded with a terrifying light. Countless sword chi killed all the Dong family martial artists inside. Buff, 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 buff. What? He killed all of them. Everyone was shocked and their scalps went numb. They did not expect Lin Xian to be so bold as to kill people in front of the Dong family's martial artists. The Dong family's martial artist who had rushed over also roared crazily. He did not expect that Lin Xian would dare to make a move. Go to hell, kid. That figure was like a long rainbow, rushing towards Lin Xian. That figure was too powerful. His aura was shocking. Light erupted from his body and shot into the sky. He had an extremely violent and domineering aura. He stood in the air. Countless rays of light surged under his feet, forming a white tiger that quickly stepped on Lin Xian. Everyone seemed to hear a tiger's roar that shook the mountains and rivers. Then a white tiger quickly formed under the mysterious martial artist's feet. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws, roaring in the air. This white tiger was not an ordinary tiger. It was a very powerful martial art. At this moment, in the hands of the mysterious martial artist, it was even more shocking. It was like an ancient divine beast. White tiger kill. That's a mid-grade earth-tier martial art. Everyone exclaimed. Even in the Dashuan Empire, earth-tier martial arts were not ordinary. They were very high-level martial arts. Ordinary people could not learn them. Just like the Zhao family's elders, they only mastered low-grade earth-tier martial arts. They did not have any mid-grade earth-tier martial arts. But now, this young man had just appeared and used his father's mid-grade martial art. It was extremely powerful. White light shot into the sky, and the terrifying fluctuations were shocking. This kick seemed to be able to shatter the mountains and rivers. The huge white tiger's shadow instantly enveloped Lin Xian. Lin Xian waved his arm and used the Qilin arm. A Qilin quickly formed and roared. It collided with the white tiger that swooped down from the sky. Then the two divine beasts disappeared into the air. The terrifying energy transformed into waves that slapped in all directions, scaring everyone into retreating. In the sky a figure appeared. It was a young man about 28 or 29 years old. At this moment his handsome face was filled with gloom. He was like a fiend god standing in the void and looking down. He asked coldly, "Brat, you actually dared to kill my sister. Today I will make you kneel and accept your death. Your sister only has herself to blame. It's better to kill such a person. I advise you to scram. Otherwise, if you anger me, I'll kill you too." Facing the sky, Lin Xian did not back down. "Brat, you are too arrogant. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you killed a few late-stage 2-star kings. Let me tell you, those people are nothing in my eyes. The same goes for you. I advise you to kneel down obediently. This way you may suffer less pain. Otherwise, if you anger me, I will make you regret being born into this world." 3-star king, is this what gives you the right to be so arrogant? Lin Xian sneered. "Brat, you are too weak. You don't know how powerful a 3-star king is. In the sky, Dong Qianshan was very arrogant. In front of me, even late-stage 2-star kings are ants, let alone you. Moreover, I am not an ordinary 3-star king. I am a martial artist under the 3rd prince, and I am also a genius who is about to participate in the martial arts conference. If you offend me, you will not have a good ending." Ridiculous. Lin Xian sneered. Dong Qianshan's arrogant attitude made him very unhappy. Therefore, in the next moment he did not waste any time and directly used the Dragon Sword realm to attack. Myriad Sword Technique. At this moment, Lin Xian used another middle-grade Earth-class martial art. Instantly, the Dragon Sword spirit trembled, and countless sword chi quickly formed, releasing endless cold light. 3,000 sword force. Lin Xian roared. 3,000 beams of sword chi circled around him, forming a terrifying aura. Then he slashed out with his sword, and the terrifying sword chi was like a shocking rainbow, quickly slashing forward. This aura was too terrifying, as if it could destroy the galaxy and shatter everything. When the surrounding martial artists saw this scene, their scalps went numb. Even the late-stage 2-star kings were terrified. In front of this aura they did not have any power to resist. In the sky, Dong Qianshan's expression changed for the first time. He did not expect that his opponent could release such a terrifying aura. Then he roared and quickly counterattacked. White Tiger Divine Fist. Dong Qianshan roared and waved his fists. This time 2 huge tiger heads appeared on his fists. Terrifying power quickly circulated, and his body surged with killing intent, directly piercing through the void. Bang! The two collided in the sky and a huge collapse occurred. The entire void exploded and countless black cracks appeared, spreading in all directions. 3,000 sword chi turned into a terrifying killing intent, directly cutting the two ferocious tiger heads, and countless cracks appeared. Dong Qinshan's pupils shrank, and his expression changed drastically. His body swayed and he turned into a white light, quickly retreating. What? He was pushed back. Everyone looked at the sky and their scalps went numb. They did not expect that the one who was pushed back was Dong Qinshan, who was a 3-star king. This was too unbelievable. It should be known that Dong Qinshan was a 3-star king, and his opponent was only a 1-star king. However, the result was out of everyone's expectations. Heavens, who is that young man? Is he even more powerful than Dong Qinshan? He must have some way to hide his cultivation. Otherwise, a 1-star king could not force a 3-star king to retreat. This does not make sense. Many people screamed and they were extremely shocked. In the sky, Dong Qinshan stopped and looked ahead with a gloomy face. Boy, who are you? Lin Xian sneered, don't you think it's too late to ask who I am? Dong Qinshan snorted coldly, don't be so arrogant. I was just careless. Is that so? Then use your full strength and fight with me. Lin Xian laughed wildly and then he attacked again. You're courting death. Dong Qinshan was furious when he saw Lin Xian charging at him. He had never been looked down upon like this before. He was a 3-star king, and he was the 3rd prince's right-hand man. His strength could definitely be ranked in the top 10 among the 3rd prince's martial artists. Therefore he would not allow a 1-star king to look down on him. He roared angrily and he attacked again with the white tiger divine fist. Then the two of them fought fiercely. Terrifying energy spread out in all directions, and earth-shattering sounds created many black holes in the void. However, Dong Qinshan was quickly sent flying again. Not only that, but he was also injured and a trace of blood flowed out of the corner of his mouth. Chapter 1527. Impossible. Damn it. This is impossible. I don't believe it. Dong Qinshan roared madly. He could not accept this reality. 3-star king? Participating in the martial arts conference? Lin Xian sneered disdainfully. Is this enough to make you so arrogant? I really don't know where you get your confidence from. He attacked mercilessly. Do you think a 3-star king is powerful? You're nothing in my eyes. Also, don't think that participating in the martial arts conference is something worth being arrogant about. Let me tell you, I've also been invited by Princess Kai Dai to participate in the martial arts conference. So, in front of me you don't have any right to be arrogant. What? He's also participating in the martial arts conference? Hearing this, the crowd exclaimed. The martial arts conference was a grand event in the Dashuan Empire. Only the top geniuses of the younger generation could participate. Therefore, anyone who participated in the martial arts conference would be regarded as a supreme honor. This was also the reason why Dong Qinshan had been constantly talking about this matter. However, they did not expect that Lin Xian would also participate in the martial arts conference. This was too shocking. You're also participating in the martial arts conference? Hearing Lin Xian's words, Dong Qinshan's expression darkened. He gritted his teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. This was simply too embarrassing. In front of so many people, he could not even defeat a 3-star king. If this news spread, he would lose all his face. In that case, I won't hold back. I want to see what kind of strength you have to participate in the martial arts conference. He roared and quickly displayed his king's domain. Suddenly, the surrounding space darkened. Behind him, a huge black mountain appeared. It was dark and majestic with a soul-stirring pressure. Furthermore, black flames were being emitted from the black mountain. They were burning fiercely. This black mountain was Dong Qinshan's king's domain. After displaying the king's domain, Dong Qinshan's aura skyrocketed. It carried a terrifying murderous aura. This aura was so terrifying that it made all the martial artists in the square tremble. What a terrifying aura. Dong Qinshan is indeed a 3-star king. He's so terrifying. Is this the strength of a martial artist participating in the martial arts conference? So strong. Brat, you should be proud of yourself for forcing me to use my Devil Mountain domain. Dong Qinshan said coldly. Then he waved his hand. Suddenly, a black demonic mountain came crashing down. Boom. The black light flickered, bringing with it a murderous aura that soared into the sky, as if it was going to tear the entire sky apart. In an instant, the black demonic mountain arrived above Lin Xian and pressed down mercilessly. Lin Xian, on the other hand, let out a low roar. The domain of the dragon sword around him flickered, and a shocking sword light soared into the sky, tearing the entire void apart. At this moment, the terror of the great dragon sword spirit was displayed. Vast sword chi shrouded the entire area. The demonic mountain and the sword chi collided, and a shocking sound of collision erupted. However, that terrifying demonic mountain was actually split apart by a single slash. What? Split it open with a single slash? This is impossible. Dong Qianshan's pupils constricted. Everyone cried out in alarm, feeling their scalps go numb. That was Dong Qianshan's all-out attack. It was an attack that had fused with the Devil Mountain domain. It was incomparably terrifying. No one below the level of a 3-star king could block it. Yet now it had actually been split open by someone. Moreover, the one who had done this was actually a 1-star king tier. This was truly too inconceivable. Kid, go to hell. Dong Qianshan roared crazily. His voice was like thunder, causing the entire sky to split apart. Then he brought the black demonic mountain with him and quickly rushed towards Lin Xian. He was like a devil king. The tattoos on his body were surrounded by a black aura, emitting a terrifying murderous aura. Kill? Lin Xian let out a furious roar as well. Then his sword chi swept out like a true dragon, filling up the void. That incomparably huge body was covered with scales as if it was real. A terrifying aura shook the entire void. With a terrifying murderous aura, it quickly slashed forward. The incomparably terrifying demonic mountain collided with the true dragon sword chi, and a sonorous sound rang out. Suddenly, demonic clouds rolled and black chi rose, turning the place into hell. The scene was extremely terrifying. This time, Dong Qianshan attacked with all his strength. With the incomparably terrifying Devil Mountain domain, he directly broke the sword chi and quickly rushed towards Lin Xian. Haha, kid, go to hell. Your sword chi is useless in front of me. Dong Qianshan stood on the demonic mountain and quickly rushed over. He was like a true devil king, extremely powerful to the extreme. Lin Xian, on the other hand, sneered and activated the dragon sword realm to fight back. Ridiculous, you want to use your domain to fight against me? You're courting death. Watch how I shatter your domain. Dong Qianshan laughed crazily because a 1-star king's domain could not do anything in front of him. It's over, that kid is going to be killed. The surrounding people exclaimed. In the next moment, the Devil Mountain domain and the Dragon Sword domain collided, and the entire void shook rapidly. A terrifying energy swept out in all directions. Oh, damn it, how is this possible? Not long after, Dong Qianshan let out a cry of surprise, as if he was very frightened. What happened? Hearing this voice, everyone looked over. Then their eyes widened. They could not believe it. This was because Dong Qianshan's Devil Mountain domain was now full of holes, pierced by countless sharp swords. It was on the verge of collapse, as if it would collapse at any time. How is this possible? Dong Qianshan's king domain was defeated? How is this possible? Everyone's scalp went numb and they could not believe it. It should be known that that was a 3-star king's domain, which was far more powerful than a 1-star king's domain. Now it had been pierced and was even about to explode. This was completely beyond everyone's understanding. Lin Xian sneered, 3-star king? Devil Mountain domain? Your pride? You can't even withstand a single blow. This was a slap in the face and Dong Qianshan could not even fight back. Kid, I'll remember you. Just you wait. Dong Qianshan's face was terrifyingly gloomy, but he did not dare to fight anymore, so he turned around and fled. His figure flashed and he turned into a shocking demonic aura, rushed into the sky and disappeared. What? He escaped. Looking at this scene, everyone was stunned. It was as if they were dreaming. A dignified 3-star king had actually fled? What a piece of trash. Lin Xian looked at the fleeing figure and sneered. This kind of trash was not worthy of his attack. After putting away the Dragon Sword domain, Lin Xian and the dark red divine dragon also left. Only the stunned crowd was left behind. They were too shocked. That was Dong Qianshan, the genius of the Dong family. Originally, he was incomparably arrogant, and he did not take anyone seriously. However, they did not expect that in the end he would escape in a sorry state. The contrast between before and after was truly ironic. Chapter 1528. However, what shocked them even more was Lin Xian's identity. Who exactly was he? What kind of person could be so powerful that he could send a 3-star king running away? They didn't know, but they knew that the Dashuan Empire would soon undergo a great change. Lin Xian left the Tsangyue Plaza and flew towards the Dashuan Empire's imperial city with the dark red dragon. This time there were only the two of them left. Of course there was also He Tu, who was beside Lin Xian. As for Murong Qingqing and the others, they had already joined powerful holy lands to cultivate. Lin Xian didn't need to worry about their safety. Because from the previous performance, even if Murong Qingqing and the others joined the sacred grounds, they would still receive special treatment. Sacred grounds? Lin Xian muttered, his eyes shining. He knew that if he wanted to become a great emperor, he would have to fight with the geniuses of the sacred grounds. Just as Lin Xian and the dark red dragon were heading towards the imperial city, Dong Qianshan's disappearance was like a gust of wind that swept through the entire Dashuan Empire. What shocked everyone was that the person who defeated Dong Qianshan was only a 1-star king. Not only that, but it was also said that the 1-star king was also going to participate in the martial arts conference. However, he wasn't one of the third prince's men, but one of Princess Katie's men. Dong Qianshan was one of the third prince's men. Not only that, but he was also one of the top 10 warriors under the third prince. The third prince's prestige was also one of the strongest among all the princes and princesses. But now, the genius warrior under the third prince was defeated by a 1-star king under Princess Katie's men. This was simply too shocking. For a moment, everyone was guessing where Princess Kaidai had found such a miraculous young man. The Dong family was one of the first-rate families in the Dashuan Empire. The atmosphere was a little gloomy because their genius warrior, Dong Qianshan, had been defeated. Moreover, everyone knew about this. This made them lose a great deal of face. However, at this moment, a figure appeared above the Dong family. This figure was strolling in the air as if he was having fun. He didn't put the Dong family in his eyes at all. Not only that, but in the end he sat down above the Dong family. This was a young warrior with a bald head and cold face. He was covered in a black robe and emitted a gloomy aura. This bald youth sat directly above the Dong family. Then, as if he was petrified. This strange scene naturally attracted the attention of the Dong families as warriors. Immediately they were all enraged. This was because no one had ever dared to behave atrociously in front of the Dong family. But now, someone was sitting above them without any scruples. This made them was infuriated. However, when they saw the figure above them again, they were all stunned. After all, his aura wasn't any weaker than the Dong clan's genius, Dong Qianshan. In fact, he might even be stronger. The Dong family was also a first-rate family. They would never allow anyone to provoke them. Therefore, soon some warriors stepped forward and wanted to attack. However, at this moment, the sound of something breaking through the air came from afar. A few more mysterious figures descended. 3 figures were like ghosts. They released powerful auras and arrived above the Dong family. Then they slowly sat down. They didn't say anything, but their figures were like mountains that pressed down on everyone's heads, making it difficult for them to breathe. The people of the Dong family were stunned by this scene. Even those who were attacking stopped in their tracks, their eyes flickering with uncertainty. They felt that the situation was a little strange. They had to inform the Dong family's young master. Therefore, someone quickly went to report to the family. However, not long after, another voice came from afar. That figure's aura was even more powerful. He was like a fiend god, especially his arms. They were purplish red and shone with a metallic luster. There were even sword and saber scars on his arms. At first glance, one could tell that he was a veteran. Perhaps no one knew this person, but his palms were very famous. Fiery Demon Palm. As for this young man, no one knew his original name. They only knew that he was called the Fiery Demon. The Fiery Demon was very powerful. He was definitely one of the top 3 subordinates of the third prince. It could be said that Dong Qianshan was far inferior to him. The Fiery Demon's appearance attracted everyone's attention. At this moment, a voice drifted over. It seems that the third prince is very concerned about this matter. He even sent you, the Fiery Demon. I wonder if Jiang Nantian will come? Impossible. He's the third prince's #1 expert. Why would he come here? It turned out that the mysterious figures in the sky were talking. At this moment, when they saw the Fiery Demon, they nodded slightly. However, their eyes were very serious. It was obvious that the Fiery Demon held a very high position in their hearts. The Fiery Demon also glanced around. Then he said in a low voice, I didn't expect all of you to come. He had no choice. The impact of what happened yesterday was too great. By now, the entire Dashuan Empire knew about it. Naturally, he had to come and take a look. That's right. Dong Qianshan was actually defeated by a one-star king, which is really surprising. The third prince is very angry about what happened yesterday. If Dong Qianshan can't explain it clearly, he'll probably end up in a miserable state. I'm guessing that it must be the top 3 experts under Princess Kai Dai. They hid their cultivation and came here to humiliate the third prince. Otherwise, it's impossible for others to do this. That makes sense. Hearing this, many people nodded slightly. Indeed, among all the princes, the third prince was the strongest. Princess Die was slightly weaker than the third prince. Although the third prince had many experts under him, those who could defeat Dong Qianshan so easily were at least the top 3 experts under him. However, at this moment, another voice rang out. Not necessarily. Maybe Princess Kai Dai found another expert this time. Whatever. This time we must find Dong Qianshan and ask him. Okay, I'll call him. The bald young man who arrived first let out a grin, before his thunderous voice echoed in the surroundings. Dong Qianshan, we've been here for so long. Why haven't you appeared yet? Are your injuries that serious? Humph. Not long after, a cold snort came from below. Then a figure quickly appeared in the sky like a ghost. This figure was naturally Dong Qianshan. At this moment, his face was somewhat pale and his eyes were cold. It was obvious that he had suffered serious injuries. In addition, he had lost face. This had dealt a heavy blow to his mental state. Now that he saw these old acquaintances, his face naturally turned even uglier. Chapter 1529. Don't think too much. We're just here to ask about the person who defeated you, the bald young man said. Although they didn't show it, there was a trace of mockery on their faces. Obviously, they were disdainful of Dong Qianshan's defeat, especially at the hands of a one-star king. Humph. That kid is called Lin Xian. I don't know where he's from. However, the aura he released is indeed that of a one-star king, but his strength has surpassed that of a 3-star king. You don't have to mock me. If you don't believe me, you can challenge him and see if he's as powerful as the rumors say. What? He's really only a 1-star king? Hearing this, everyone's expression became strange. As for the bald youth from before, the corner of his mouth revealed a trace of disdain. He's really a 1-star king. I say, Dong Qianshan, you're really regressing. You actually lost to a 1-star king. I really don't know how someone like you can become the third prince's subordinate. Don't be so arrogant. I can guarantee that you'll definitely lose if you fight with that person. Dong Qianshan stared at the bald young man with a cold expression. Then he continued in a cold voice, since you already know about that young man, there's no need for you to stay in my family. Gentlemen, please. After saying that, he waved his sleeve and ignored these people. His figure flickered and flew down. Although these people were investigating Lin Xian's whereabouts, they had undoubtedly opened up a scar in his heart. This made him very unhappy. Alright, let's go and meet that guy called Lin Xian. Let's see if he's as powerful as the rumors say. Or is someone so useless that he can't even withstand a single blow? Then the bald young man laughed loudly 3 times. Then, his body rose from the ground and rushed into the sky like a stream of light. The figures of the other few people also swayed and disappeared into the sky. Of course, they didn't know where Lin Xian was, but they could guess that since he was invited by Princess Kai Dai, he must be participating in the martial arts conference. The martial arts conference was held in the imperial city of the Dashuan Empire. Therefore, they only needed to head to the imperial city. These people turned into streaks of light, with ferocious smiles on their faces, and quickly rushed towards the imperial city. The imperial city was the most prosperous city in the Dashuan Empire. The area it occupied was as large as a small country. One could only imagine how prosperous the imperial city was. Half a month later, Lin Xian arrived at the bustling royal city. Along the way he heard news about himself everywhere. However, no one came to bother him. The reason was very simple. Not many people had actually seen him before. Most of them had only heard about him from rumors. However, along the way he also learned about the current situation of the Dashuan Empire. Within the Dashuan Empire, the power of the clans had reached an unimaginable height. Among them, the most powerful family was the royal family of the Dashuan Empire, the Yuan family. And this martial arts conference was held by the Yuan family for these princes and princesses. Among these princes and princesses, the first prince and the third prince were the strongest and were in the first echelon. The second echelon consisted of Princess Kai Dai, the 7th prince and the 4th prince. In addition, there were also the 3rd and 4th echelons. However, these princes were relatively weak, so Lin Xian did not pay attention to them. Lin Xian was very curious about this Princess Kai Dai. Because among so many experts, most of them were princes and only one was a princess. One could imagine that she must be a very outstanding talent. Otherwise, it would be impossible for her to be in the second echelon among so many princes. After arriving at the imperial city, Lin Xian did not go to the princess mansion. Instead, he strolled around and experienced the prosperity of the Dashuan Empire's imperial city. Fengyue Brothel was a very famous restaurant in the imperial city. Here, genius warriors from various aristocratic families could often be seen. Sometimes even princes could be seen. It could be said that this was one of the most lively places in the imperial city. Lin Xian entered the Fengyue Brothel and ordered a pot of good wine and a few exquisite dishes. Then he sat by the window and slowly tasted the wine. During this time, a few disciples from aristocratic families were talking loudly. The news they were talking about was very strange. It was all some strange news in the eastern wilderness. It could not be helped. The eastern wilderness was too mysterious. There were many powerful warriors who were like gods and demons. Did you know? It said that an ancient tomb was dug up not long ago. It seems to be the cave of an expert from ancient times. It alarmed the clans of the ancients and the peerless sacred grounds. I heard about it too. It said that an incredible treasure appeared and was obtained by the Yi family in the end. I don't think so. Both the Jade Lake Sacred Ground and the Purple Dawn Sacred Ground are incomparably terrifying. Even if the Yi family is a clan of the ancients, they can't stop the other provinces from joining forces with the Time Sacred Ground, right? Who knows? Anyway, it's all about the clans of the ancients and the peerless sacred grounds. The others can't get it at all. Yeah, and the Yi family is very terrifying. Back then, Emperor Yi single-handedly dominated the ancient times and suppressed the 9 heavens and 10 lands. He can be said to be extremely powerful. I'm afraid that even among the great emperors, he's a very powerful existence. These people discussed animatedly. Most of them were talking about the rumors. However, this kind of new secret rumor was hard for ordinary people to hear. Therefore, all the warriors in the restaurant listened with great interest. Even Lin Xian was very curious. Emperor Yi? Is the Yi family one of the clans of the ancients? Lin Xian asked in a low voice. Yes, the Yi family is one of the clans of the ancients. They once had a great emperor called Emperor Yi. It's said that he's very terrifying. Even among the great emperors, he's a very powerful existence. He Tu said in a deep voice. The dark red divine dragon was drooling. Damn, what kind of treasure did they dig up? Even the clans of the ancients and the sacred grounds were alarmed? It must be a shocking treasure. Damn, I want to go too. The dark red divine dragon was a restless person. Naturally, he was drooling over such a good thing. He Tu ruthlessly attacked. You're not even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. I reckon that the aftermath can blast you to death. If you ask me, it's more likely that the ancestors of you dragons are going. Lin Xian was also puzzled. By the way, ruffian dragon, aren't you a dragon? Where's your family? Why haven't I seen you go back? Is it not in the eastern continent? I ran away from home. Don't mention any family to me. The dark red divine dragon was very unhappy when he heard the word family. There must be a story behind it. However, since the dark red divine dragon was unwilling, Lin Xian did not ask. Chapter 1530. Let's not talk about that. After all, the remote antiquity families and the peerless sanctuary are too far away from us. Let's talk about the internal affairs of the Dashuan Empire. Internal affairs? What's there to talk about? The only thing we can talk about is the upcoming martial arts conference. Hey, have you heard? It said that a mysterious young man appeared at the Azure Moon Dojo and defeated Dong Qianshan in a very powerful manner. I heard about it too. It said that the mysterious young man is only a 1-star king. It's just a rumor. Don't take it seriously. That person must be hiding his strength. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to defeat a 3-star king. Unless he's one of those sanctuary geniuses. But why would those disciples from the sanctuary and remote antiquity families come to the Dashuan Empire to be Princess Katie's subordinate? So, that person must be hiding his strength. Yeah, no matter how powerful he is, he only defeated Dong Qianshan. It's impossible for him to defeat all of the third prince's subordinates. Indeed, Dong Qianshan is only ranked 10th among the third prince's subordinates. No matter how strong that person is, he won't be able to make it into the top 5. It's impossible for Princess Kai-Dai to enter the first tier. Yeah, other than the first prince and the third prince, the others won't be able to enter the first tier. There are only a few people in the second tier. However, I heard that other than the disciples from the Dashuan Empire, there are also people from the surrounding countries and even the islands who want to participate in the martial arts conference. What a bunch of idiots. Is the Dashuan Empire's martial arts conference that easy to participate in? Those people are just frogs at the bottom of a well. They're delusional to think that they can amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. They're really courting death. The group of people joked and laughed. However, at this moment, a cold snort came from the side. Just a few stubborn disciples from the aristocratic families. How dare they talk nonsense here? What a joke. Hearing this, everyone's expression changed and they all turned their heads to look. They saw a black-clothed young man sitting not far away. His expression was extremely cold. The cold words from before were spoken by him. However, a few well-dressed young masters of aristocratic families sitting in the center only glanced at him coldly. Then they ignored him. They ignored him as if he was air. Then they started chatting and laughing again. Actually, there are many aspects to this matter. Although the martial arts of these countries are not good, that woman is very beautiful. Some of them are even famous throughout the world. Now that you mention it, I remember. It is said that there were 3 exceptional beauties in the Azure Moon Plaza. 2 of them entered the sacred land and the last one went somewhere unknown. But it shouldn't be too bad. Let's not think about entering the Holy Land. I can consider the beauties from the nearby countries. It's their good fortune that they married into the aristocratic families of the Dashuan Empire. I heard that in Jianghu country there's a beauty called Jade Beauty. I wonder if she came this time? Aya, who wants to sleep with that kind of beauty for a night? I'm willing to spend any amount of money. The few of them chatted and laughed, completely ignoring the surrounding countries. Jianghu country Li Feng, come to ask for advice. I'd like to see what you hedonistic sons have to be so arrogant about. The young man in black who snorted previously stood up again, his eyes full of killing intent. Seeing this scene, everyone exclaimed. They did not expect this young man to be a warrior from Jianghu country. No wonder he was so angry before. Who do you think you are? Are you worthy of fighting with us? The aristocratic family disciples sneered disdainfully. Whether I'm worthy or not, you'll know after you try. Li Feng's voice was cold. Then he waved his arm and a golden light quickly slashed forward. Whoosh! Everyone exclaimed. They did not expect that the other party would really dare to fight here. However, the aristocratic family disciples in the field were even more disdainful. Someone like you actually dares to fight us? You're really courting death. Among them, one of the aristocratic family disciples snorted. Then without looking back he waved his palm. Suddenly, a ball of green flame flew out quickly and collided with the golden saber light. The next moment, the golden light was burned clean. Not only that, the green flame instantly shrouded the warrior in black. Then it emitted a bright light and burned him into a bloody mist. Whoosh, whoosh. In just a moment, the warrior in black was burned clean. Even the bloody mist in the air disappeared. Nothing was left. What? So powerful? When the surrounding warriors saw this scene, their eyes widened in disbelief. Even Lin Xian revealed a trace of bewilderment. He realized that although these aristocratic family disciples were arrogant, they were indeed very powerful. After killing the warrior in black with one palm, the young man in luxurious clothes laughed. I really didn't want to fight, but that guy was too arrogant. He dared to provoke us, so I could only kill him. Hee, that kind of trash, so what if he dies? But Zhou Tian, the power of your blue sky fire has increased a lot, right? Looking at it, you should have reached the level of a 3-star king, right? That's right. With this flame, I'm afraid even a 3-star king would not dare to provoke you. The warriors from the surrounding countries are really idiots. How dare they compete with Zhou Tian? As soon as these words came out, the atmosphere in the entire restaurant became tense. This was because there were warriors from all over the world in this restaurant. Many of them were from other countries. When they heard these words, they were naturally angry. Lin Xian did not care because his vision was very broad now. Although the young man who attacked before was powerful, he was still inferior to Dong Qianshan. Even Dong Qianshan was not his opponent, not to mention these people. Therefore he did not care about these people's words. He was just trying to get information that was useful to him. However, the same could not be said for the others. Some of the people in the private rooms were from the surrounding countries. They were all elites. When had they ever been ridiculed? Naturally, their faces were gloomy. Especially the warriors from the Jianghu country, their faces were terrifyingly dark. Although they did not know the warrior in black, he was still a member of the Jianghu country. But he was killed in such a way. He did not put the Jianghu country in his eyes at all. Therefore, for a moment, many experts from the Jianghu country released their terrifying killing intent. However, these aristocratic family disciples did not care at all. They even sneered. I don't care which country you're from. Since you've come to the imperial city of the Dashuan Empire, if you're a dragon, you'd better lie down. If you're a tiger, you'd better lie down. Chapter 1531. I'm Han Kuan from Jianghu country. A tall and sturdy young man stood up and walked over with large strides. His body exuded a terrifying aura, like a demonic mountain, causing the entire void to tremble rapidly. However, at this time, a beautiful little maid blocked his way. My master invites you to have tea. I'll let you be proud for a while. In a while, I'll let you know the power of Jianghu country. Han Kuan snorted and followed the little maid into a private room. Hey, you really don't know life from death. If someone hadn't stopped you, I'm afraid you'd be a dead man now. Several disciples from influential families sneered. Do these countries really think that there are experts? No, to be exact, there should be 1 or 1.5. One of the disciples from influential families said in a deep voice. There's actually another person? Why didn't I know? Who is it? Demonic Blade Ren Tianya. Demonic Blade? You mean him? Hearing this, several disciples from influential families nodded slightly. He could indeed be considered an expert. I also heard that his blade technique is very fast. No one could see him make a move. Anyone who saw him draw his blade is already dead. But speaking of which, no one knows where he came from, so he can't be considered as a person from the surrounding countries. That's right, several people nodded in agreement. However, someone asked, who's the other half? It's the mysterious young man who defeated Dong Qianshan in Sanyue Square. Although I don't know where he came from, he should be considered as half an expert. Not bad to be able to defeat Dong Qianshan, he's indeed an expert. I didn't expect that the surrounding countries only had 1.5 experts. However, it's not certain whether these two people are from these countries. It seems that our Dashuan Empire is still the most powerful. There are so many outstanding people. Hearing this, the martial practitioners of the Great Xian Empire all laughed, whereas the martial practitioners from the surrounding countries all had gloomy expressions. Being ridiculed in public, they naturally lost face. Moreover, many people were furious. However, the methods used by the disciples from influential families were too terrifying. These people were not ignorant and incompetent stubborn disciples, but powerful disciples of aristocratic families. Therefore they had the right to be arrogant. If Ren Qinya was here, they definitely wouldn't dare to be arrogant. Several martial artists from the neighboring countries gritted their teeth. Ren Qinya was a very valiant martial artist. He was very famous for his swift saber moves. No one had seen him make a move. Anyone who had seen him draw his saber had been killed. No one knew which country he came from, but it was said that he often appeared in the surrounding countries. If that mysterious expert was here, these people wouldn't dare to act like this. The mysterious powerhouse they spoke of was naturally Lin Xian. Ever since Lin Xian had injured Dong Qianshan last time, it could be said that his reputation had spread. Now, everyone knew that such an existence existed. However, what they didn't know was that Lin Xian was currently in the Wind Moon restaurant. In another private room, the tall Han Kuan sat there with an extremely solemn expression. He looked at the martial artists opposite him and slowly said, "Thank you for your good intentions, but that guy is really too hateful. He actually dared to humiliate my Jianghu country in public. Therefore this battle must go on no matter what." At this moment, sitting opposite Han Kuan were several martial artists. They were all young and did not exceed 30 years old. Among them, there was a woman who was very beautiful. Her delicate face looked as if it was carved out of jade. Not only that, that pair of bright and beautiful eyes were full of spirituality. As they moved, they seemed to be able to speak. This beautiful woman was the legendary Jade Beauty of Jianghu country. Beside her, there were also a few people sitting. However, the one closest to her was a handsome young man. Between his eyebrows, there was a vigorous vitality. This person was her brother. Previously, It was this brother and sister pair who invited Han Kuan over and prevented him from fighting with those disciples of aristocratic families. However, now it seemed that Han Kuan was very insistent on fighting with the other party. Therefore everyone sighed. To be honest, they were also very angry, especially Jade Beauty, whose face was solemn. Because previously, those disciples of aristocratic families were very frivolous in their words. However, they did not dare to act rashly. Because the strength displayed by those disciples of aristocratic families was very powerful. Their combat strength was definitely at the level of a 3-star king. In fact, they were even stronger. Moreover, as a disciple of an aristocratic family of the Dashuan Empire, the other party must have a lot of powerful martial arts in his hands. Therefore they did not dare to act rashly. However, Han Kuan shook his head. He was very violent and naturally would not allow others to provoke him. Not to mention such a public humiliation. Therefore he thanked Jade Beauty and her brother again, and then strode out of the private room. "I'm back. Today I'll have a taste of what qualifications you have to be so arrogant?" Han Kuan strode over. Light flowed around his body, carrying a powerful aura. His palms seemed to have turned into metal, carrying a cold light. He grabbed the air, grabbed a chair around him and then threw it forward. Originally, it was just an ordinary chair, but now, its surface was covered with a layer of metallic luster. It seemed to have turned into a divine weapon, sharp and unstoppable. Even the entire void began to tremble rapidly. What kind of technique is this?" the surrounding people exclaimed. They also noticed this change. However, the disciples of the aristocratic families in the center sneered. Among them, Zhou Tian snorted and then waved his hand. Suddenly, a ball of green flame quickly floated out and collided with the metallized chair. Chi-chi. Then the sound of collision was heard. As if ice and snow were melting, the chair instantly turned into a pool of molten iron and fell to the ground. "You dare to make a fool of yourself with such petty tricks?" Zhou Tian sneered. The surrounding people were shocked. The chair just now had turned into a divine weapon. Its power was even more terrifying than a top spirit-grade treasure. However, under the green flame, it could not resist at all and was turned into molten iron. This green flame was too terrifying, wasn't it? The other disciples of the aristocratic families were also surprised. "Zhou Tian, why do I feel that you have entered the realm of a 3-star king?" The green flame was incomparably mysterious. It dyed the entire sky green. Han Kuan's face was cold. He said coldly, "Today I will show you the power of my Jianghu country." Chapter 1532. In the next moment, his body swayed and like a phantom, he charged forward. In an instant he was in front of Zhou Tian, and his terrifying palms slammed down. The cold sound of metal clashing against metal could be heard as the palms slammed down. Like a sudden clap of thunder, it exploded in the surroundings. Immediately, all the martial artists in the Fengyue brothel looked over. This palm was too terrifying. No one below the level of a 3-star king could withstand it. However, Zhou Tian sneered with a calm expression. His body swayed and he turned into countless green lights, disappearing from the spot. "Since you want to fight, I'll play with you. However, let's not fight in the Fengyue brothel. Otherwise I can't afford to pay for the damage." As he spoke, he had already arrived in the sky outside. It seemed that the background of the Fengyue brothel was not simple. Even Zhou Tian did not dare to offend them. "It's the same everywhere." Han Kuan shouted coldly. His body swayed and he flew out as well. It was obvious that there were hundreds of golden rays of light revolving around him at high speed. The terrifying golden lights seemed to be tearing the sky apart, emitting an extremely terrifying aura. A golden armor seemed to have formed on his body, emitting a mysterious power as he charged toward Zhou Tian. Zhou Tian sneered. His body moved like a phantom, moving rapidly in the air, leaving behind countless afterimages. This was a very mysterious footwork, and he quickly dodged the golden lights that Han Kuan shot out. His movements were extremely elegant, as if he was on a scenic tour. "Ah, too slow. Watch my counterattack." Zhou Tian sneered, then waved his hand. Suddenly, green lights surged rapidly, filling the surroundings and charged toward Han Kuan. These green flames were too terrifying. They were like the flames of hell, able to melt everything. Even weapons below the level of Earth-rank treasures could not withstand this heat. Clearly this was Zhou Tian's origin source flame, and he had refined it to a terrifying level. Boom. In the next moment, Han Kuan's expression changed drastically. This was because he realized that the green flames had entered his golden domain. Some of the golden lights were even melted by the green flames. Damn it. Han Kuen's face darkened. He did not expect to be at a disadvantage in an instant, and this made him extremely shocked. What made him even more shocked was the green flames. Clearly, his opponent's cultivation was only a late-stage 2-star king, while he was a true 3-star king. However, his opponent's green flames were able to pose a threat to him. This was too shocking. When the crowd saw this scene, they cried out in surprise. At the same time, the genius martial artists from the surrounding countries walked out from their private rooms. Among them, the Jade Beauty and her brother. They realized that their opponent was too mysterious and too powerful. The green flames, in particular, made them feel a sense of trepidation. Ascend to heaven and descend to hell. Zhou Tian's expression became even more smug when he saw that all the genius martial artists from various countries had come to watch the battle. A green domain's SSSSS at the same time, the green domain quickly churned, and a green palace quickly formed. It's of the Zhou S's heaven's Tians of the heavens. As soon as it appeared, a green light covered the entire sky, and even Han Kuen's king's domain started to burn. This scene was simply too terrifying. Han Kuen saw that he was a 3-star king, and his king domain was extremely terrifying. However, at that moment it was actually burning. This caused everyone to be extremely shocked. Even Lin Xian was surprised. His eyes flickered as he looked up at the sky. At this moment, the green palace in the sky was incomparably mysterious and was emitting a brilliant light. Countless green flames were burning fiercely on it, as if it was an immortal palace. Not good. I'm afraid this is an extremely terrifying secret technique from the Dashuan Empire. That green flame looks like the blue sky fire. He had heard that these flames were extremely frightening when they descended from the heavens. To think that this young man would possess such a mysterious flame. The Jade siblings frowned. Obviously they had also heard of this flame. Then they quickly sent a voice transmission. Brother Han, please stop. Those flames are too terrifying. There's no need to continue fighting. Indeed, they were extremely worried about Han Kuen's safety. On the other hand, Han Kuen's face was gloomy. He looked to the front and suddenly cried out. Gold domain kill. In the next moment, the gold domain around Han Kuen emitted a brilliant light. Then streaks of terrifying golden light shot up into the sky and swept across the land. They were like swords, sabers, and spears that quickly filled the entire sky. In an instant, the entire space was completely covered by the golden light, and the surrounding space started to tremble. This aura was so powerful that it even caused all the martial artists to tremble. Cracks appeared in many places in the sky. It was simply unable to withstand this aura. Bang! Bang! The incomparably mysterious green palace bloomed and violently collided with the golden light in the sky. Black cracks appeared like an abyss. It was extremely terrifying. The scene was too terrifying. In an instant, many of the golden light were burned to ashes. However, there were even more golden rays of light that blotted out the sky and covered the earth as they charged forward. Blue sky palm. Zhou Tian sneered and waved his palm. Suddenly, the green palace behind him surged rapidly, and a huge hand that was burning with green flames reached out from the palace. It was like the palm of a demon, and it quickly blasted forward. Bang! 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 The green flame palm was too terrifying. As soon as it appeared, it caused a large patch of golden light to disappear. Black holes appeared in the void one after another. In an instant, the golden light was destroyed, and the green palm quickly attacked Han Kuen. That terrifying palm wind and flames were already about to burn Han Kuen. Feeling the terrifying energy, Han Kuen's face changed again. He had no choice but to retreat quickly. Like a streak of golden light, he instantly retreated into the distance. You want to fight with this young master with your little tricks? You're overestimating yourself. Zhou Tian sneered. The few disciples from the aristocratic families who came with him also laughed at the sky. Their voices were filled with mockery. Brother Zhou, I have to say that you're too surprising. Although you're only a late-stage 2-star king, your blue sky flames are too terrifying. I'm afraid that even 3-star kings are no match for you. Not only that, I think that even some powerful 3-star kings are no match for Brother Zhou. Blue sky flames is indeed a divine flame that descended from the heavens. It is really terrifying. Chapter 1533. They talked and laughed, their words full of mockery. They did not care about Han Kuen's and the other people's expressions. There was no need for them to care. The disciples of the aristocratic families looked at Jade Beauty and her sister at the side. When they saw Jade Beauty, their eyes shone with a fiery light. One had to admit that Jade Beauty was too beautiful. She was like a fairy who had fallen into the mortal world. Many of the surrounding cultivators swallowed their saliva. The disciples of the aristocratic families were even more dazzled as they looked over from time to time. However, they did not make a move. They were the disciples of the aristocratic families of the Dashuan Empire. They had status and strength. They could not do something like snatching someone. What they hoped to do was to use their strength and charm to conquer the other party. This was their pride and confidence as the disciples of the aristocratic families. However, on the other side, Han Kuen's face was terrifyingly gloomy. As a 3-star king and a young genius of the Jianghu nation, he had never been ridiculed like this. Therefore, with a furious roar, he charged forward again. Looking at Han Kuen, who was charging over, Zhou Tian smiled disdainfully. It's useless. It's futile to continue fighting. Zhou Tian sneered and shook his head. Although I'm only a late-stage 2-star king, I have the blue sky flame, which allows me to contend against 3-star kings. Even ordinary 3-star kings aren't a match for me. Although you're also a 3-star king, you have no chance of winning against me. Seeing that your talent is not bad, why don't you become my slave? As long as you serve me faithfully, my Zhou family will not treat you unfairly. T. Han Kuen was furious. He was a genius of the Jianghu nation. How could he become someone's slave? Therefore, he roared angrily, and the golden domain around him shone with brilliant light. Huge golden sword chi surged out of his body and quickly slashed forward. However, Zhou Tian sneered disdainfully. He waved his hand. Immediately, the green palace behind him shone brightly. A green flame appeared in the air. It emitted a terrifying power and shattered all the golden sword chi. Then he waved his hands. 2 jade green palms shot out and slapped Han Kuen's body, sending him flying. Do you see that? This is the difference between us. Zhou Tian was like a god of war looking down on everyone. The other disciples from the other aristocratic families also burst into laughter, their eyes filled with disdain. However, Zhou Tian said coldly again, I'll give you a choice. Become my slave. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. As he finished speaking, a sharp killing intent surged from his body. Stop. Jade Beauty and her brother could not bear to watch any longer. With a flash of their bodies, they quickly came to Han Kuen's side and helped him up. Forget it, don't fight anymore. That person is too terrifying, especially that blue sky flame. It's a legendary divine flame that descended from the heavens. Although your cultivation is higher than his, you are still no match for him. Oh, what a beautiful person. Zhou Tian looked to the front and revealed a smile. From the looks of it, you must be the legendary Jade Beauty. Zhou Tian nodded. I've heard that the Jade Beauty's appearance is unparalleled. Now that I've seen it for myself, it's indeed true. She's even prettier than the legends. Indeed, she's a peerless beauty. The other disciples from the aristocratic families also burst into laughter, their eyes burning with passion. Jade Beauty snorted coldly. To be honest, the gazes of those people made her uncomfortable. However, she could not retaliate and could only pretend that she did not see them. At this moment, most of the people were looking at the beautiful figure in the middle of the field. Lin Xin's eyes flickered as he looked to the front and nodded slightly. However, his eyes were clear and there was no infatuation in them. Moreover, he had no intention of interfering with what was happening in front of him because all of this had nothing to do with him. At this moment, Zhou Tian spoke again. For the sake of the beauty, I'll spare your life today. However, if you're so blind to provoke me again, don't blame me for killing you. The other disciples from the aristocratic families also smirked. Soon they looked around and fixed their eyes on another person. There's another beauty? Look at her appearance, she's not inferior to Jade Beauty. The disciples from the aristocratic families looked to the front, where there was also a beautiful figure. She wore a pure white dress and looked ethereal with a hint of Jiangnan's grace. It was as if the coldest ice could melt under her gaze. Looking at you, you must be Bai Yuran from the Bai family? I didn't expect to see 2 peerless beauties at the same time today. How wonderful. Sigh. It's a pity that I have no chance to meet the 3 beauties who entered the Holy Land at Sangyue Square. It's such a pity. However, no matter how beautiful those 3 ladies are, I don't think they can compare to these 2 beauties. After feeling sad for a while, the disciples from the aristocratic families burst into laughter. Then they looked around and spoke loudly. Today we're going to have a heart-to-heart talk with these two beauties. Everyone else, get lost. Leave this place. This place is not open to the public today. If anyone dares to stay, don't blame me for being rude. Get lost if you don't want to die. Cold shouts were heard. Clearly, these disciples from the aristocratic families wanted to take over the entire Wind Moon restaurant. Jade Beauty and Bayuran were extremely pale. However, their eyes were filled with anger. They did not expect that these people would dare to take liberties with them in public. Beside the Jade Beauty, the handsome young man also had a face full of anger. These people dared to harbor ill intentions towards his younger sister. This filled his heart with murderous intent. Wind Moon Restaurant is a public place. Anyone can enter and leave. How dare you try to take it all for yourselves? Don't you think you're too arrogant? A cold voice sounded. Clearly they were very displeased with the disciples' behavior. Why, do you have a problem with that? The disciples from the aristocratic family sneered. At that moment, Zhou Tian's expression darkened. Looks like the warning I gave you just now was not enough? I advise you to leave obediently. Otherwise you might have to crawl out. Don't talk big. I've long wanted to experience your blue sky fire. Let's see if your blue sky fire is more powerful than my earth fire. Earth fire? Hearing that, the disciples from the aristocratic families were stunned. Zhou Tian was also stunned. So you're saying that you're from Fire Cloud Country? I heard that Fire Cloud Country has a very powerful earth fire. Today I'll see for myself if it's as rumored. You'll see for yourself. Chapter 1534. It was an extremely ordinary youth, but his body was glowing with a red light. At the same time, a terrifying heat wave spread out, causing the surrounding space to distort. The earth flame was a terrifying underground flame. It was extremely rare. It was very famous in the nearby countries. Thus, when the red-clothed youth appeared, the surrounding cultivators all held their breaths and carefully watched. At the same time, they hoped that this youth would be able to defeat these arrogant aristocratic family disciples and help them vent their anger. Sky Palm. Zhou Tian snorted coldly, and immediately two large green palms shot out, covering the sky as if they wanted to tear the sky apart. As for the youth from the Fire Cloud Nation, he also let out a long roar, and his body emitted a fiery red light. A huge red python appeared around him, quickly forming a fiery red domain. Earth Flame Domain. This was a domain formed from boundless earth flames. It was extremely terrifying, and just the aura caused the surrounding people to pale. To the side, Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes and carefully observed. He discovered that this true spirit world was truly amazing. The domains of these cultivators were too mysterious, and even he was surprised. It seemed that the martial Tao of this true spirit world was countless times stronger than that of the Jianghu continent. However, in the face of so many geniuses, Lin Xian's expression was calm. That was because he was extremely confident in himself. He knew that with his talent and strength, he wouldn't lose to any of them. Thus, at this moment he slowly raised his wine cup and savored the wine as he watched the battle. It was as if everything around him had nothing to do with him. Unfortunately, everyone was focused on the battle and no one saw it. If someone were to watch carefully, they would definitely be shocked. That was because at this moment, Lin Xian was surrounded by a formless energy that caused the shockwaves of the battle to be unable to approach him. It could be said that wherever he said he was, it was an absolute safe zone. Everywhere outside of him was filled with berserk energy. The surrounding cultivators had no choice but to activate their armors and king domains to defend themselves. Otherwise, they would be roasted into a bloody mist by the terrifying heat. Earth Flame Burn All Things. Facing the terrifying green palm, the youth from the Fire Cloud Nation also counterattacked. He snorted coldly. Then balls of fiery red light gushed out from his body, forming an endless sea of red flames that burned in all directions. Then he threw out a punch. Suddenly, the earthly fire domain sect also trembled rapidly, forming an incomparably huge fist that violently slammed forward. It was as if the sky was about to be torn apart. In the next moment, the two different flames collided with each other, emitting an earth-shattering sound of collision. Terrifying energy swept out in all directions. Everyone was incomparably nervous because this battle concerned whether or not they could continue to stay here. If the youth from the Flaming Cloud Nation lost, then all of them would be thrown out by the disciples of these aristocratic families. At that time they would definitely lose all face and be too ashamed to face anyone. In the sky, the red flames collided with the green flames, instantly covering half of the sky. Seeing this scene, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. Then the warriors from the surrounding countries began to sneer. Humph, I originally thought that the aristocratic families of the Deshen country had some powerful methods. I didn't expect him to be so weak. Looks like stubborn disciples are stubborn disciples who only know how to talk big. That's right. You want to chase all of us away? Dream on. How laughable. Do you really think that you can ignore everything just because you're from the Dashuan Empire? Is this the power of an aristocratic family disciple? That's all there is to it. A group of people mocked and ridiculed. It was obvious that they were already very dissatisfied with these aristocratic family disciples, but they didn't dare to say it before. Now that they saw that someone could resist the blue sky fire, they immediately began to mock and ridicule. On the other hand, the aristocratic family disciples had cold smiles on their faces. Zhou Tian even snorted coldly, then quickly waved his arm. The green palace quickly flew out, following his movements and blasting forward. Boom! An earth-shattering sound rang out, and the green palace emitted an incomparably bright light, directly tearing the red flames apart. Then, it violently slammed into the young man from the Fire Cloud Nation. Boom! As if struck by lightning, the youth from the Flaming Shadow Nation spat out large mouthfuls of blood and flew backward. The red flames that filled the sky also disappeared in an instant. What? You lost? Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. As for the warriors from the surrounding countries, their faces turned pale in disbelief. Lost? How could he have lost? Weren't they evenly matched just now? What happened? How could he lose in an instant? They really couldn't understand, and all of them looked desperate. On the other hand, the aristocratic family disciples laughed loudly. How could Zhou Tian lose to someone else? Now it seems that he was indeed hiding his strength. Of course. I just wanted to play with him. But now I'm not in the mood. Zhou Tian also sneered. What? Hiding his strength? How could he still be hiding his strength? How strong is he? When the warriors from the surrounding countries heard this, their faces turned pale. They didn't dare to imagine what kind of strength the other party had. However, Zhou Tian sneered, "All right everyone, we're going to have a heart-to-heart talk with the two beauties. Those who have nothing to do with it should leave quickly. Otherwise, don't blame me for starting a massacre. Don't be so arrogant. I'll do it." The Jade Beauty's brother roared and took a step forward. His body emitted an extremely terrifying energy. At the same time, the surrounding warriors also had ferocious expressions on their faces. The auras from their bodies were linked together as if they were going to collapse the entire sky. In an instant, the aura of energy swept through the entire void. In fact, there were even cracks appearing in many places. What? You want to fight? Zhou Tian sneered. The other aristocratic family disciples also snorted coldly. Then they stood together and displayed their king's domain. Suddenly, a monstrous and terrifying aura spread out. It was as if 100,000 mountains were pressing down on the sky. Immediately, the surrounding warriors were all pushed back. What? They're so strong? How is that possible? How can they be so strong? The warriors from the surrounding countries shook their heads frantically. They couldn't believe it. They were too strong. There were only 5 of them, but the aura they emitted was more terrifying than the dozens of people on their side. It was as if a wild beast was looking down on them. That made them feel a sense of despair in their hearts. Stubborn. Since you're courting death, don't blame me for being rude. Zhou Tian snorted coldly and waved his large black palm. Immediately, the few cultivators in the vicinity were all sent flying. In an instant, more than 10 warriors were sent flying and left the Fengyue brothel. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.